The following is a presentation of the ForceCenter podcast feed.
It's a Friday where we are. This is from the center of the galaxy. This is ForceCenter Live. I've got a pen, which means it's serious. I'm Ken Napzok.
I'm Joseph Scrimshaw. I have a beer, not a pen, but I bet I could write with it if I worked on it.
I feel like one of those late night pundits.
What stocks should I buy? What should I drop, Ken?
Mad Star Wars money. This is fun here. We're hanging out. I love that even though you and I are long-time, 25-year plus professionals in the entertainment industry, you've been doing these ForceCenter streams for a while now, been live on the internet for a while now. Every time I start one of these, I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready.
In terms of like tech and buttons or emotionally?
Tech, motions, and more importantly, drink choices. And I think I'm going back to the unofficial, this is the way IPA.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Smokey Vandross asks, what you drinking? ?
I love that name, Smokey Vandross.
And now we looked at this. This is an IPA that is just a direct copyright infringement on old Disney Lucasfilm.
Good old mouse ears Centurion Mando with a green alien baby to avoid any.
But I think that beer was good at predicting things, because I think if there were IPA tall boys in the Star Wars galaxy, Din would be kicking back with one on their new home there while he watches Grogu play with the frogs.
You know what's so right? You're so right. The photo chosen here is a little bit of like a Arizona, New Mexico landscape, kind of the vibe of that part of Navarro. You're right.
Oh yeah. So spoiler for season 4, Din's gonna get cat ears.
There it is.
He's gonna go to some anime conventions and it'll be great. I am drinking a Hoegaarden, which I think I mentioned before is a beer I discovered when I was briefly living in good old England in 2006, and then came home and so sad that I wouldn't be able to get it. And then like a month later, I think like Budweiser bought it, so now you can get it everywhere.
Now you can get it. Now it's there.
Drinking it in a Scrimshaw glass, which is not vanity. There's a beer called Scrimshaw, so I guess it is a kind of vanity that I bought a Scrimshaw beer glass. But
no, and we're gonna talk about this later. You know, on your recent travels, you went home. A Scrimshaw went home to your ancestral land. You're almost your ancestral village, right? So you're connected to your name right now.
Yes, my home seat. I don't know. I'll think about that one. 8984M says, drinking my Twin Peaks coffee. That is great. I got some double R coffee from the diner from the Twin Peaks television show. The current owners are all about Twin Peaks and supporting it, so they sold some coffee in a mug. That was great. I don't know if that's what 8984M is drinking, but I enjoyed that.
What's that snack that he likes? The Agent Cooper likes? Is it
donuts?
Cherry pie, cheesecake?
Cherry pie, yes. Donuts. All the cops like donuts. Twin Peaks makes very good cherry pies. Dale Cooper likes cherry pies, yes.
Cooper likes, that's right. That's all I remember about that time period.
It is so funny. It is a part of the show, but the show is also some twisted, dark, complicated, moody stuff. And then a lot of people like cherry pie and coffee, and like it is a part of the show, but it's not all the show.
We got some housekeeping up top before we start getting to your questions. As always, thanks for hanging out with us. A lot of you are watching in other parts of the world because it's 2 o'clock time slot for us. It's like a lunch for us. It's like a late lunch with beer, but it works. And it's a little bit later where you're at. So all hang out with us. Questions, super chats, help us find the questions. Certainly easier, but not what you need to get into the conversation. But Joseph, we got some wonderful housekeeping we want to talk about up top. So take away with your first. Or I'll do it like a pundit. Your first point.
Well, my first point is just to say Mike Fink is popping pizzos over here, which is a great Star Wars joke. And I feel like the phrase Mike Fink popping pizzos is a Beastie Boys lyric. So love it, Mike Fink. Yes. So first order of business is the rise of the survey. We were really inspired by everything, all the interactions we had in Star Wars Celebration and doing a live show. So we wanted more information about all of our listeners, fans, fellow Star Wars fans, and friends here. So we're doing this very short survey. You can see on the screen there, we have the URL or the QR code. I understand in this modern digital age, a QR code is kind of like, don't get in a stranger's car. Don't just scan some weird thing on the internet that can take you anywhere. So I know some people aren't okay with QR codes. So we've got both the actual survey link, the URL, and the QR code. So it takes about 2 to 3 minutes. It's 10 very straightforward questions, a little bit of demographic information, a little bit of what you're interested in the future of ForceCenter, how many episodes you listen to a week, that kind of stuff. And the more information that we can get, the better that we can know the audience to help make some decisions, not only about what Ken and I and Jennifer really truly want to do ourselves, but also what's most important to everybody watching. And thank you to everyone who has already filled it out. Everybody who has checked in to see like, hey, I wasn't exactly sure how to answer this one, so I answered it like that. There are no wrong answers. It is your opinion. No wrong answers. And we'll probably do some more detailed surveys down the line as we get more interested in specific things.
Yeah, don't bring that QR code up again at the end of the show. But yeah, no, thank you to everyone that's answered, participated, and like Joseph said, wondered, did I pass the test? You've all passed the test. This is just some good research for us going forward, like Joseph said. So I'm excited to dive into those answers there. So that's one of the things we want to talk about. The other thing we want to highlight, of course, we want to continue to shout out what's going on over on our Patreon page, patreon.com/ForceCenter. You guys have, some of you have been supporting there for a very long time. Some of you are just starting now. We just got people signing up. I saw we've got this, the latest name, Sandy Brady, just signed up and supported us right as we are getting ready to go live. And it's a lot of fun over there. We appreciate it. It helps keep the show going, that kind of thing. You've heard a lot, but really it is our core community that really fuels the show. And they have been enjoying quite a ride with the two things lately. We started, of course, Indiana Jones and the Perilous podcast leading up to Dial of Destiny. We have our second episode, a deep dive look at Raiders of the Lost Ark, a look that, Joseph, I think you and I can both kind of admit here right now, a movie that's been in our lives for 40 years or plus. We looked at it in a different way that we just hadn't had a chance to previously.
It's so much fun because when you see, or at least I'll say for myself, when I see a new film, I'm used to just really kind of taking apart the ideas of it in my mind. It's one of the ways that I enjoy it. It's different to go back to a film that you've lived with yourself, and a film that lives in popular culture so much, so many iconic scenes, lines, and trying to pull back and kind of see it with fresh eyes is a really, really fun way to discuss it. So I don't think we just did a deep dive. I think we fell into some pits, like old time adventure serial, some bottomless pits of discussion. They're really great. And that's going to be on our Patreon May 1st. So if you want to go with us on that journey, if you want to listen to the Raiders of the Lost Ark discussion, going up on Monday, May 1st. And then about every 2 weeks on Monday, we'll be discussing one of the other films into Dial of Destiny.
Yeah, one other thing we did recently was the special live Star Wars Ranked. Our favorite sequel scenes was live for Patreon supporters, and that's going to go live to the public this Sunday. But want to thank all of you who joined us for that. So we know, Joseph, you always say it so well. Like, we know Patreon's not for everyone. We know this isn't about additional support. If you can't do that or not interested, totally fine. Just listen to the show. Tell your friends about the show. That's all the kind of support we need, as well as we look at a ever-changing podcast landscape.
Yes, ever-changing always. Matthew Carnahan says, the Patreon is worth it just for the Discord alone. One of my favorite communities I've ever been in. All the bonus extras are the cherry on top, or the cherry pie if you're Dale Cooper. Thank you for saying that, Matthew. I love hearing that about the Discord.
All right, I think we got some questions coming in here. We got a lot of people excited about Jedi Survivor. I downloaded it last night. It took hours. I just set it to go while I went to sleep. I have not played it yet, though. So got everything set up. Just, controllers. You have to so much work for video games these days, which I'm not complaining, because trust me, I was there for Pong. Like, we're in a better spot, but you have to sit down and go, all right, how am I going to play this game? How's it going to look? There is even an option, Joseph, now to ask, are you going to sit close to the screen or far away, like it's Grover?
How are your eyes? It does an eye check?
It does an eye check.
I like optometrist Grover. Near, far sighted. That is hilarious. That is so hilarious. Soon it's gonna be like, now, are you gonna throw the controller? Are you in a room with pads? Or are you in a very hard room? We'll adjust the settings based on that. I remember I played good old GoldenEye for the N64 at like a party where somebody didn't even own an N64, had rented it, and then my brother had it. And then I finally broke one night, and it was just 9 p.m. and just like, I can't live without this in my home. And I had to drive to multiple Targets to find the literal physical cartridge. So as much as I complain when I sit there, like, I'm watching a progress line, download a video game. It's pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. We put Natalie's question up there because I think is the question of the day is really about Jedi Survivor. Is if we're playing it. I realized earlier today when I was getting ready for the Q&A and doing some other things, like I hope people come to our Q&A because maybe everybody's just gonna be playing Jedi Survivor. And I've seen comments. Many people are like, I'm taking a break from Jedi Survivor. So yeah, for myself, I don't have the PS5 yet. It's breaking my heart. Been so busy with a lot of other great Star Wars stuff going on. I'm reading Battle Scars this weekend, the book, so that Ken and I can discuss it next weekend. I'm gonna be diving into watching Visions season 2. Oh, but the right now the FOMO is strong, and it will be hard for me to not drive around trying to buy a PS5 tonight. I wish I could download an entire PS5. If I could download a PS4 and have it physically give birth to a PS5, I'd probably do it.
In chat is Alex, Star Wars Explained, who is probably, I'm guessing, still playing Jedi Survivor on one screen while listening to us on another. Can't wait to hear your Survivor thoughts. I'm excited. I've been open with some of my struggles with Fallen Order, which was some of it had to do with the playability. I overall really enjoyed it, and it's a blessing to have a great Star Wars game. Again, I was there for Empire Strikes Back on the Atari. I'm happy to have this now. So I'm ready to love it. I'm ready to love it, Alex. I'm excited. I'm not touching it until Sunday. One of the reasons I'm not doing that is I want to get as far as I can in Battle Scars, because we read Battle Scars a little late than maybe other people did. I realized the game will spoil Battle Scars, and I'm enjoying the book, so I want to read a little bit more.
Yeah, there's a lot of great comments in here about Survivor, things that I don't personally sort of consider spoilers. So I assume that people are, since they're all chatting, are okay with sharing it. I love what I'm seeing of people really enjoying the story, saying that Cal has really developed as a character. I saw online that you don't have to relearn the double jump or maybe some other skills. Oh, but that thrills me. Every time we talk about this game, I pull out the phrase I learned of ludonarrative dissonance, where the actions of the game feel in contrast to the story or the theme of the games. And that was always a ludonarrative dissonance I felt in any sort of like a Zelda game, or like, Link, how'd you lose your bleeping boomerang from the last game? What, I got to go find it again. So starting with the double jump, it got me excited.
That was that's needed for me. That's needed for me. Also, taking a break from playing Jedi Survivor. Molly Damon's here, says, "Hi friends, sorry it took so long to get the celebration panel out. It's out now." Yeah, and we'll tweet that out too. I've been a busy morning for both of us, but yeah, we saw that Alex and Molly recorded the panel that we were on at Star Wars Celebration London, sold out panel, packed. A lot of people didn't get in, so this is a blessing that if you missed it or you weren't there, you get to see it. So always a thrill to be on a show with those two wonderful souls. Whether it's on a panel or eating Thai food, we have a great time, and that's on their channel now.
Absolutely. I'm looking through some questions here. Any Jedi Survivor related questions? There was one that I saw that I wanted to find again. And here's, maybe Robert Meadows already left, but Robert Meadows says, can't watch live, we'll have to watch later. Wanted to get a question in though. Have you seen the Young Jedi Adventure shorts? I thought they were fun and cute. Ken, have you had a chance to watch those on old Disney Plus?
Not yet, because now they're actually out, right? Not the teasers, right? These are the actual ones, right?
These are the shorts. They're like 5-minute shorts, and then the actual Young Jedi Adventures, I'm sure they're each 2 hours long. I don't know, are out on May 4th.
Gotcha. That's okay. I think I lost track of that. And so I've seen about half of the teaser ones, the little shorts, and I'm enjoying them. I think I mentioned this on the podcast recently, but like I had a couple friends outside of that diehard Star Wars bubble who both wrote me and were like, "Why are they doing a series on the Padawans that Anakin killed?" I'm like, "You're 200 years 200 years off there." So I'm excited to dive into those. And I'm such a Nubs fan already. Just love the design, love that face, love those Nubs toys that we saw at Celebration. So I'm ready to dive in.
Yeah, no, they were a perfect balm. They were what I needed this week. I was busy with ForceCenter stuff, but busy with some other creative projects that I'm trying to get started and on that scary sort of place of like, I think I can do this in the time frame that I want to. So I've been trying not to eat lunch on the couch because then is the curse of the nap, the danger of the nap. Then I have to spend a half an hour fighting the nap. So like I gotta eat at my computer. I don't really feel like watching an hour-long show because I'll be done with lunch. And oh, perfect. Just little Jedi adventures to watch with lunch. And I found them really, really charming. I like that they're absolutely for kids. They're hashtag justice for Jedi, but they are just really reinforcing like here's just the absolute basics of not only being a Jedi, but a good friend of like we help one another. We help each other when things are hard. We try again. It's those things that like, yes, these are for kids, but I also appreciate hearing them in at my age. In Nubs is just none of it to me is any sort of there was a kind of saccharine cute I felt when we were growing up in the 80s, Ken, that was almost almost insulting, even to like an 8-year-old. Like I was like 8-year-olds, why are you talking down to me? And I didn't feel this way at all about these. And Nubs is a machine for social media responses. I took about 800 screenshots of him going like, I could use this later.
Nubs, a meme factory. That's good to know.
Nubs, the Jedi meme factory. Exactly.
Good to know.
Exactly.
Great stuff to start us off there, Robert Meadows, with that question there. I got one here. I saw this pop up earlier. This is an important one to my life as a Star Wars fan. Smokey Vandross is there a Star Wars Monopoly game? I don't know if there's any updated versions, but there absolutely is a classic one. I have it. We actually played it, and I think the video's either live, public on our YouTube page. If not, we'll have to maybe go make it live because I think we did it for Patreon. But you, me, and Jennifer played Star Wars Monopoly.
Oh yeah,
in my old apartment, and that's when I discovered that's where my little Kenner miniatures were that had been locked away since 1998. Where it's like I know I had them, and that's where they were because I used to play it when it came out. I think in '97, kind of part of that special edition push. That was the one of the, oh my God, Star Wars is everywhere. There's even Monopoly. And me and my friend Megan, who was the night DJ at the station I worked at, I was a morning show DJ. She was the night DJ. And I would just go hang out in the studio. She was a big Star Wars fan too. And we would just play Star Wars Monopoly for hours during her shift, talking about they're going to make more. They're going to make these more. And they're set. They're like called prequels or something. It's going to be great.
Whatever that is. Yeah, and remember like the big shock of it was it had like 2 or 3 cards that were prequel questions. And I think like one of them is like in this famous actor from Jurassic Park and Pulp Fiction will be playing a Jedi. And like, do you know that Samuel L. Jackson? So fun to think about when that's one of those kids. Can you imagine? Full-on adults, right. Can you imagine when people didn't know Samuel L. Jackson as Mace Windu, but mostly as his role from Pulp Fiction, and the amount of years we spent making swearing Jedi jokes? Yeah.
Jared updates me, says there's 3 versions of Star Wars Monopoly out there now.
I was looking. There's one with Grogu on it. There's a Monopoly one. There's a Mandalorian one. The classic trilogy edition. There's a Boba Fett edition. Oh, a Boba Fett one. Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Is it just based off Book of Boba Fett?
It looks like it. I'm looking at it on Amazon. It's only $16, so it doesn't sound like it's really rocking anyone's world, sadly. But there's also like it doesn't change the actual gameplay. It's just the aesthetic that's changed. Right. That's cruel. There is on the Boba Fett Monopoly. There's Mace Windu space you can land on to lose money.
Oh,
But it looks like, yeah, it's all the people in his life.
okay.
Oh yeah, this looks quite fun. And
That's
next live
cool.
stream.
That's 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 emotionally unfair for Boba Fett.
Yep, that's getting a little away from the light fun to the. Did you land on the face of the man who killed your father? Aw.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's wonderful. That's wonderful there. This is we already got a lot of questions coming on here. Sean updates. Hey, Sean, we hung out with Sean in London. There's definitely
Hello, Sean.
I forced friends and family to play it many times. There you go. There you go.
Nice.
Got force Star Wars fun on people.
I got another question here that came in a little bit earlier. I'm gonna grab here, Ken.
Mhm.
From Jet Roulette. Favorite Star Wars video tabletop game. Mine is X-Wing Miniatures. Since we're talking about Monopoly, we're talking
Mhm.
about Jedi Survivor. I know we've
Mhm.
discussed this before, but do you have a favorite, Ken?
Of video games, it might be Battlefront 2 in terms of just playing it over and over. Um, but yeah. Because I said before, I barely played what was the one with Prince Sizor?
Shadows of the Empire.
Shadows of the Empire. After Hoth, I didn't finish that game. I got through the Hoth levels, chased some wampas around, and I never really played it much because I was playing Goldeneye.
Mm-hmm.
That was the era. That era. It was either that or Mario Kart. My friends and I weren't playing that on Friday nights. Where we had, sodas and Chips Ahoy, like 14-year-olds. We were like 20. So Battlefront 2, and then the original. I was just thinking about this today. Like the 2015 Battlefront had that mode where it's like you and a buddy, like two players could take on like a horde of stormtroopers, and it kept coming in waves, and you have to beat the levels and get harder and harder. And a friend of mine, we would play that in 2016, early 2016. We played that for hours, and I had so much fun. I was thinking about that today. I kind of missed that mode. I wish we could have a game with that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, almost all of the Star Wars video game experiences I've had were really great. I remember in particular getting a used Super Nintendo just so I could finally play the Super Empire Strikes Back. A lot of fond memories of that. Phantom Menace era. There was the Jedi Power Battles game for the PlayStation 1,
Right.
which was you kind of played through the Phantom Menace. Well, you did play through the Phantom Menace narrative, but you could switch out random Jedi, and it was one of the few places because Phantom Menace was it was great. You had Qui-Gon, you had Obi-Wan, you saw other Jedi sitting around chatting, but I had been so excited with my friends to be like, how many lightsabers are we gonna see? How many Jedi are gonna be like igniting lightsabers at the same time? So Jedi Power Battle is really cool because you got to play as Mace. I think Adi Gallia was in there with like a red or an orange blade. So it was, and you could do the elaborate moves. That was great. Think Battlefront 2.
I love that.
Battle Station. Yeah, Battle Stations. It was huge for me.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, it's the two first Rogue Squadron games for the Nintendo, the one for N64, and then the one that launched the GameCube in particular was huge. That's probably the video game that I obsessed over the most and completed the most. I got all of the medals that you possibly could, and I played the local partner mode, two-person mode, and completed the entire thing. I was obsessed with that one.
I didn't have the game. I played that 4 years ago. My friend Scott has every system. He's like a video game kind of historian. In his living room, it's amazing. And he streams every once in a while as a layman video gamer on Twitch. You guys should follow him. And he had the GameCube. He invited me over. We just on a Sunday afternoon played Rogue Squadron. It was a lot of fun. Looked like it was an old game, but at the time, you don't know that. Every time a video game comes out, you're like, this is the best graphics ever.
Yeah. It really was. Was.
I will say one of the other games I enjoy, and I see in chat Alex Corey agrees with me, Battlefront 2, current favorite. I want to shout out the actual arcade Star Wars arcade game. That one, Not for Nothing Kids was groundbreaking and transported you away. And even though it's horrible, old, very late 70s, early 80s graphics, it was state of the art at the time. Speaking of just not knowing, and every time I got a chance to play that, I felt like I was in an X-wing. I felt I was part of the story. So classic for a reason.
Yeah, that absolute perspective you're in it was amazing. And yeah, Battlefront 2 really the heroes versus villains mode, the story mode, but the heroes versus villains is the one I played the most. Getting to be Rey running around on Bespin, dream come true.
Dream come true indeed. TIE Fighter shout out. I've mentioned that a few times before. TIE Fighter in the mid 90s on the PC was a great one as well. Our buddy Ilka, we met Ilka in London.
Yeah.
Battlefront 2 is somehow quite well respected and underrated at the same time. I would agree with that. The campaign is super fun. The game is beautiful. Yeah, I love that story. I love the character of Iden Versio. I love the tragedy of her father. I love everything about that. So love that.
Well, there's that controversy about some of the pay to play for upgrades, right? That they pulled immediately, but I think like the sting of it, the taint of it, stayed with the game for a long time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Kind of, was a narrative that people heard first before the game. I totally get it. Totally get it. Good stuff. Good stuff.
All right, is it my turn, Ken, or is it yours?
I think you picked that one there. Let's get to our buddy Brennan Marr in his podcast Page Turners They Were Not. Thank you for the chat. We really appreciate that. Hello there, my friends. Thank you so much for answering my question on your Q&A podcast episode. You guys are honestly some of my favorite people, and I'm so happy to call you friends. Well, that was I thought that was a question. It's not a question, it's a statement. And it's a statement the corner of my eye. I was like, maybe I thought he was like friends? ? No, Brennan is wonderful. We met Brennan at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, and a wonderful soul. So thank you, Brennan. Thank you, Brennan.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brennan. Very, very appreciated.
I'll go to this one here from our buddy Sean. Random question, but getting my first pet soon, a cat. So I was wondering what creature each of you would pick as your Star Wars pets. I see. I love cats. I'm allergic to them. So anything that's cat-like, loathe cats or anything like that, I don't know if I gravitate towards. A good old well-trained wart from Jabba's palace, sitting up front like a gargoyle.
Yes, a guard belcher that anytime anyone comes near, I would love that. Lately, every animal question I want to answer with Varactyl. I don't think that's practical for my my 1-bedroom apartment in Los Angeles. Not a lot of room. Maybe if the Varactyl stayed up at a ranch that I could visit, that would be a pet. I want to say Quakian monkey lizard, but I also question whether that's a pet or a pal. Is that a pet or a well, not that pets can't be pals, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, man, I thought about that too, but yeah, I don't think that's fair to Salacious. I guess some people might view them as pets. Some people might view them as food, clearly, but we would view them as pals. It's on the cusp for me.
I think when they can help strategize in battles like we saw in Mandalorian, that would be a challenging one for me. So I'm gonna go with Lothcat ultimately. Lothcat indeed.
Yeah, maybe Lothcats would not kick up my allergies. Maybe I could enjoy them a little bit more than I enjoy cats.
And Sean here says, Ractyl, I have a podcast called Boga's Cantina, so I love that answer. I love Boga.
Yeah, love that. All right, I see. I'm going to put this one for Other Center. We'll be doing some Other Center questions a little bit later as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, now I definitely know it's your turn.
All right. Well, we just got this very kind chat coming in. So here we go. Camoprod says, lifelong Star Wars fan, watched A New Hope in 77, aged 6. I was disappointed with the sequel trilogy. It was clear there was no plan. So will they learn from their mistakes with the new Rey movie, i.e. great story, etc.? Well, we always want to be respectful of all opinions. So if the sequel trilogy didn't work for you, that is understandable. We all have different opinions and different reactions. I think that regardless of how anybody feels about the sequel trilogy, I think that there is probably a strong awareness in Lucasfilm of the narrative within the film and the narrative outside of the film. And I think the fact that it was very public, that there were initially 3 directors and then lots of directors being removed, but a director being entirely removed from the 3rd movie, and then JJ coming back in the ultimate shape that you end up with a director who did the 1st and the 3rd and a different director who did the 2nd, I think really does add to the perception in the opinion that they don't all hold together. Again, with all due respect to your opinion of the films, I think that Lucasfilm is going to be very aware of the politics of the story outside the movies that can affect the way we see the movies.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the reasons we preach when it comes to like the scoops and the hot rumors and everything. They're all fun and fine and dandy, but you're getting into the kitchen before Lucasfilm wants you to get into the kitchen, which is all normal stuff. I think for me personally, I don't think I think there was more of a plan than any narrative would let you think, and also I don't think you need that when you're being creative. You just need to tell your stories. So I think in terms of mistakes, it's more about perception. And I wish even now Lucasfilm would still get out ahead of it more. And I think they did at Celebration with a really wonderful, confident announcement of 3 films, as much as they can give us right now. So I think I'm going to be there. Like I said, it's all in perspective. I think the 7, 8, and 9 are 3 of my favorite stories in Star Wars and sync up beautifully. So I don't think there's mistakes to learn from. I just think there's stories to build on, and we get to learn more about Rey, and I'm so excited about that whenever we get that.
Yeah. My opinion is that the films hold together well, particularly when you're really looking at the growth of the characters, of what challenges are they facing, how do they overcome them, where do they start, and where do they end up. That said, I do understand people being affected by the conversations outside the film. And again, if you just watch the films, they don't work for you, that's totally fine. But I do think the story of the creators giving interviews after the films and not leaving things open-ended. If creators didn't give interviews where it's like, we here's the definitive choice they made. And if creators gave more open-ended answers of like, you watch the film and you decide, I think that's sometimes also where the narrative gets hard, when you did have different creators giving interviews going, here's what it is. Here's the answer. And I think that contributes to some of the difficulties.
Yeah, especially along the way. If you're after 7, you answer. After 8, you answer. After 9, you answer. And it can add to it as well. We're such it's such an exposed era, right? And not just for Star Wars, but all of any kind of fandom. I look across at pro wrestling, and one of the reasons I stopped watching it regularly is I don't need to. I'll get the results on Twitter before I need to, because it's treated like news, script leaks, or so-and-so is part of their contract negotiation, they're going to win here at WrestleMania. Why am I going to watch? It's so exposed now. All businesses are exposed, and we get to see the cooks in the kitchen a little bit too much for my taste. So that contributes to some of that. That's why I think Solo is a great example of that. There's very few people that actually knew what happened on the set, right? I don't know. But everyone else tweets that they do, and so it just kind of colored the narrative of that movie instead of just engaging with it as it comes out.
Yeah.
But again, like you would say, that doesn't mean Solo has to work for everyone. Doesn't mean Rogue One has to work for everyone. Doesn't mean 7, 8, 9 have to work for everyone. So this is a generous super chat and a comment from someone who's like, I'm still a lifelong Star Wars fan, and I'm still looking forward to the future, even though these films didn't work for me. And I think that's the right attitude.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I really want to encourage that from all of us, Ken and I and Jennifer included, to be honest about what doesn't work from us, so it can be a healthy, productive conversation in a fun conversation. It was always a great part of my growing up when I was surrounded by people who I had no doubt that they loved Star Wars. And so the kind of the back and forth, do you like this, do you like that, was always from a spirit of fun and honesty. And I want to keep that going.
Yeah, I was trying to favorite one and comment there. Sorry, Andrew, I got that up too early. Andrew McNabb, our buddy there as well. Yeah, look, and I try to, it's something that, I make jokes and everything, but it's like, I have to practice what I preach. A lot of times I really, Fallen Order was not something that hit my heart like it did other people. But I'm excited for the next one. That's why I downloaded it, swiped the credit card at midnight, downloaded the game, and it's there waiting for me. And I almost just said, screw it. I'm gonna tell Joseph I'm sick and I'm gonna play. So that's the best thing is to look forward to tomorrow.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's always, yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We got some questions coming in here. Let's talk about this one here. Will says, assuming that Finn returns as a Jedi in the new Jedi Order film alongside Rey, what color do you think he will choose for his lightsaber? Ooh, lightsaber color speculation from Will here. Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh.
Let's see. Do you? Part of me wants to have new ground broken.
Yeah.
I don't know what color that could be or what would work for me, but I wouldn't mind Finn being unique in his own way.
Yeah, I was gonna say orange. We'll see, because it is the sort of the new ground thing. We were talking about that era in the Phantom Menace where not a lot of the lightsabers colors were shown, and I think Lucas had not communicated his choice that everything was going to be blue and green for the good guys. So you had random action figures with different colored lightsabers. You had video games with random, and it was a little bit more like lightsabers as Skittles of like, wow, that person's got a passion fruit lightsaber. Cool. And I know that we're doing the orange red in Ahsoka, and Filoni has some ideas there. But yeah, it'll be fun. If we're going classic, I would be interested in green, just because we've already seen them with the blue, and green isn't always master, but that is sometimes a connotation, so that'd be interesting. The other thing I like is getting into gradients. So what if he had a lightsaber that was somewhere between blue and purple, and like it was one of those things like you had to have a conversation with friends of like, it's blue, right? And like other people like, no, that's purple. It's right in the middle.
I was like, let me look at some options on my color wheel here on my, and I'm going to go right there, kind of where you said, a little between blue and purple, like a darker magenta, maybe.
Yeah. Harrison has a thought here. I see Finn being the Ahsoka of the new era. I don't see him being an official Jedi, but more Jedi adjacent. Interesting. Or that's James Livingstone. And then Harrison was saying, I think Finn could be a green lightsaber. His empathy seems to match with the other green bladed Jedi like Qui-Gon, Jinn, Yoda, and Luke. Yeah, if the choice was between green and blue, I would agree and definitely go with green.
Yeah, green would be a winner for me as well. It was always my favorite one. I mean, Luke made it look so good. So I've always been a fan of that. Love that. Yeah. Love great choices from you all there.
I hit a thing, but then I wanted to share this from Mark Canope. Great to see Mark in London. Hey, Mark referring to an earlier comment. Wait, I changed my mind. A purple lightsaber would just give us more speculation about Mace Finn being related. That's part of the reason I was like blue purple. That'd be fun because I don't want to do the direct.
Yeah, but Ahsoka. If the comment about Ahsoka and him being something similar, like another set of clear lightsabers or something, I'd be okay with that too. Ahsoka's white / clear is one of my favorites too.
Tara Sanube's blade is extremely light blue. It's like blue he left out in the sun.
Yeah.
And it faded.
Good work. Great stuff there. You guys are doing wonderful with the questions. And I am trying to keep up with all the wonderful questions we got going on. What any jump out to you, sir?
I was too busy looking at lightsaber colors. Okay, we got so we got a couple questions about going to Return of the Jedi in that rewatch. We've got this one from Andy Linden. Any SoCal folks going to the fan event at El Capitan Theater tonight? I did look at it, but I just couldn't make it work with schedule stuff. Ken, are you trying to make it to the theater?
I am not. I got a stand-up set tonight in Burbank, so I'll be doing stand-up and probably having fried food after. So no, not gonna make it.
Your own sort of triumph, and then you'll. You got an Ewok to dance with. You have a life-size Ewok you can dance with later.
I do. Mark Ellis has been in Vegas all week with CinemaCon for Rotten Tomatoes. He and Christian Vocabo were out in Vegas for like 5 days. So Ellis was like, "Hey, I'm back in town tonight." And I was like, "Is it one of those nights?" He's like, "It might be one of those nights. So might be a late one. We'll see." So comedy, food, no Return of the Jedi. But with Mark, that's his favorite Star Wars film. So who knows? Maybe we'll crash it.
Yeah. I might try to make it to one of the El Capitan screenings. I wish they were running it longer. Tomorrow's the 29th, right? That's how time works.
Yes, it
They're
is.
doing all 3 films of the original trilogy. Man, I would love to be able to do that, but not this time. But I see a lot of people going to the screening. Ken, if you were able to go, what moment do you think you would be excited to experience again with an audience?
I think some of the space fighting, some of the good old, like on a big screen. It's been a long time, right, since the special edition era for me to see. There's too many of them. They're just all those ships, all those famous now groundbreaking technical shots of all the elements flying to screen. And Lando, Nine Numb doing woohoo as they explode. Some of those big sequences, I think, would work. And the ATSD being crunched by those logs on a big screen.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to just see and feel the emotional reaction to Luke's moment of triumph of I am a Jedi, like my father before me, with the head nod. See if he gets a round of applause on the head nods, depending on how engaged the audience is. I would also really like to hear the controversial no in Dolby Atmos surround sound. I want my sternum rocked by Vader's controversial no.
I want to do that. And then our buddy Hal Lublin tweeted out something. He's like, I'd love to go to this, but I'm not going to pay again to see Jedi Rocks and hear Victory Celebration. And we love Hal. He's a sweetheart. I almost want to buy his ticket and make him go experience that again. Just sit down and be like, I'm going to put arm around Hal and I'm going to make you love Joe Yowza. He's not my favorite either, but I'm going to make you love
the tonsils. Yeah, seeing the tonsils fully live on screen, on the big screen. The very original version of Star Wars Counseling was a panel I did at Dragon Con with Ken Plume and Hal Lublin, and that was Ken's try to make me feel better about Jedi Rocks. And I made a very small dent, obviously, but only a small dent.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Great stuff there. Yeah. If you're if you're a ForceCenter friend and you're getting to go to an event, like maybe Andy to the El Capitan tonight, definitely tweet up pictures, tag us.
Yeah.
If you're in the Discord, part of the Patreon community, post there. It's a fun thing, and not everyone gets to go for various reasons, including sometimes it's just not in your area, so you might not get to experience it. So please share your joy. Let's live through y'all.
And just is a reminder that everybody loves different parts. 89, 84M. I love Jedi Rocks. I'm going to rock to that in surround sound. It is a really, really interesting time where some of the things that fans have had discussions about for a long time are just like people have not as many people have seen the original versions of the original trilogy. And at this point, I bet, some of sort of the original things are shocking to some people.
I've shared this before, so I know it's you and me always sometimes have our uncle at a party telling the story about the weather again. I get it. We broadcast for hours a week for 9 seasons now. I've told the story about our friend Steph Sabra was telling me one night at a party. She's like, "That's me and my friends just the original trilogy doesn't really stand up for us." And I was just like, "What do you mean by that?" And she's like, it looks like it was made in the 70s and 80s. It doesn't look as good to us. And I was like, all right, it's a perspective that you can't change. I can't change it for you, and I actually understand what you mean. So tip of the cap, and we'll go on. Not that they didn't enjoy the films, but it was just like they're hard to watch for us. So original, special editions, whatever. I get it. Different time, different era.
I am just fascinated lately with the idea of somebody discovering puppet Yoda from the Phantom Menace for the first time and just being like, what happened to Yoda?
What happened to Yoda? Love it. I've got a nice statement. I'm not going to say question, statement. Here, Liam Logston. Thank you for the generous super chat here. Hey guys, recently found you. Was sent there from another Star Wars pod a while ago. Well, thank you to that pod. I'm sorry I don't have a question. Just wanted to say how much I appreciate what you do and your perspectives and deeper conversations of Star Wars themes. Liam, first of all, that's one of the coolest names in the history of the world. As an Oasis fan, I'll tell you that much. And Liam Neeson too. We really appreciate it. That stuff means even more to us these days for just the fandom, the discourse, and just the world overall. Forget Star Wars, just the world. You look out there. Sometimes it's nice to have a nice conversation about Star Wars and how it affects you. That's what I want to know from people. I know you like that scene, but what does it do to you? Let's talk about what it says and what it does to you and how it affects your life. That's what we do. And Liam, we appreciate it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And thank you for the sentiment. And it's great to know how new listeners, new friends are finding us. So thank you for letting us know that. And I agree, that is a very cool name that could work equally well for a spy or the secret identity of a comic book character. Perfect with the alliteration. I do want to grab this one, Ken,
Yeah.
because to follow up on the conversation we're having. This is from Camel Prods, who is asking about the sequel
Yeah.
trilogy and the future with the Ray movie. Says, thanks. I enjoyed many moments in the sequel trilogy and will always watch Star Wars content and find positives. What legacy character would you like to see in Mando season 4? Thank you so much for the generous contribution both times and for the great conversation.
Yeah.
Ken, where do you go with the question about legacy characters in Mando season 4?
Yeah. Well, I'll just camel prints. Yeah, I echo what Joseph said, and that's the right attitude. And just let's spread that to the world. Of hey, I didn't necessarily like this, but I'm looking forward. That's a great way to look at it. And we love having you here to celebrate Star Wars with us. What sequel, legacy character would I see in Mando season 4? I am ready for Han. I'm ready for Han.
Ooh, wow. I love it.
I would prefer Alden Ehrenreich to be in the role, but I know the technology exists, and maybe that doesn't have to be the case. And in fact, I'm looking across at my Raiders of the Lost Ark figure, and I'm looking forward to seeing that figure on screen again in that form in June 30th. Yeah, I'm ready for Han, bearded Han in this era.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, bearded Han. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. What if he just he's got that beard in the Battlefront game, right? What if he just keeps trying the beard on and off for a long time? Every time he and Leia are apart for a little while, he grows it back and she comes back like, Han, come on. I'm excited to see Mon Mothma in the Ahsoka trailer. I'm excited of just to sort of just going, hey, it's okay. We've got a great Mon Mothma actor. She's the right age. We're going to have her in this New Republic storytelling. If Mando's going to keep diving into New Republic storytelling, including sort of challenging how it's not working, I wouldn't mind hearing from Mon Mothma herself. So there's that. The other one that maybe some people would be like, we're revisiting, too many characters, but I don't care for myself. I want to see quality time with the OG Trandoshan Bosk. Particularly if what they kind of set up at the end of Mando season 3, where he's like, I am a bounty hunter or a work person for hire. Send me on jobs, but I want to make sure that they're jobs that I believe in, that they're jobs that are appropriate to take a child on, that they show Grogu the morality of our clan of two and the morality of being a Mandalorian. What a great bounty hunter for him to run into. That's a contrast to that, a bounty hunter whose perspective and culture is about dominance. I think Bosk would not only be cool, he could challenge some of Din Djarin and Din Grogu's perspective.
I love what you're saying. I know there's been some extended adventures with Bosk and other bounty hunters in the comics and all those kind of things. It's fun, but Bosk belongs in this series. He really does. He's built for the fact that they've, I think, been able to pull off live action Trandoshans for the most part. I think they're still a little weird to me, but in a sense of like, it's right. Other than Empire, I've never really seen them in action and live action, right? So I have to get used to it a little bit. It's not even Uncanny Valley. It's just kind of like, oh, that's what they would look like walking around. So I think this is the time. 4 seasons in, Bosk that's a great answer. We do have a giant winner of an answer though in chat here. Brian Ward says Wicket in Mando season 4. Do it, you cowards. Do it, you cowards. I want Keller and Beck to take Grogu to Jar Jar, and then I want Wicket and Princess Nisa and maybe Chief Chirpa's retirement party, and there's some problems, and Mando has to go help with that.
They do keep talking about pulling from every era of Star Wars, including the Ewoks animated series. We gotta do it. We gotta get Weird Uncle Paplu in there. We got to get the theme song in the background. Ewoks. Well, look, one big happy family.
The blurgs, which showed up in Clone Wars, obviously from the Ewok movies. And I'm not saying that's not something I want to just give credit to Filoni, but he's got the big picture in mind, right, for what made him as a fan. And the designers clearly were like, oh, God, stop motion animation dinosaurs you can ride that look like tadpoles. Let's do this in animation and then in live action. So they're watching. They're aware. That means Nathan Ham will be happy. We're one step closer to Teak. It's Teak time. Teak time's coming.
Teak time's coming. Caleb Stone Street also says Kira back on screen in anything. So there we go. That's our prediction. You can print it, DocuSign it, put money on it. It is going to be Kira hiring rogue Ewoks to be part of Crimson Dawn. There you go.
Yeah. And do not spoil it. Anyone in chat. I've not finished any of the Crimson Reign comics. I don't know if Kira lives, dies, marries someone. I don't know. I don't care at this point. I'm going to read them. I just Kira in live action has to happen to me at some point. It's just got to happen. You got Emilia Clarke.
Yeah.
You got the role. You got her weaving in and out in the shadows. Now you have a chance to do something with that.
Kira, just like with the Ewok song. Pat Q says, "Dang it, that song is being stuck in my head." I sincerely and deeply apologize. That with great power comes great responsibility, and I need to remember it with that song. I only sang it to get the Droid song on my head because I watched a Droids episode earlier this week, and that theme song was stuck in my head.
There we go. Natalie says, "I want a new Ewok show," and Natalie, you ain't wrong. You're preaching the truth. You're preaching the truth. That's great. Oh, that's beautiful. We got some great questions to get to, but I want to pull this comment up because I vaguely remember this as well. The Brody Show says, "Hey chaps, great to see you briefly at the hotel bar that wasn't on a ship. I was the tired dad that was returning from the bar with a whiskey and just had to give you both a hug." I vaguely remember that, but I remember it. You know what I mean, Brody Show? I think we were returning from the bar as well.
I do. I remember. Very, very kind of you, Brody. Thank you.
That's amazing. That's
one more follow-up here from Camel Prods, who says, "Han, yes. Boss, yes. Wicket, yes. My choice is Wedge. Keep up the great work." Wedge is a phenomenal choice. That would be very interesting as we get into the New Republic stuff.
Would love that, and for me, probably be a recast, but you could do that easily. I think, yeah, great,
yeah. All right. I don't know whose turn it is with questions.
It might be yours. I think I threw a ton up there. I think I skipped line. I don't know what I did. I'm just drinking This Is the Way IPA.
Well, we have a very generous super chat that I'd like to acknowledge here from Victor Pragamontes. Victor says, "Joined a little late and just wanted to say hi and thanks for the community you've all created." Thank you, Victor. That is very, very generous and much appreciated.
Appreciate that, Victor. Saw your comment too on the figure fights, the most recent episode of Figure Fights, saying it was your favorite one yet. And we really appreciate that support. If you all haven't had a chance, if you're all here on the YouTube channel now and you haven't maybe subscribed or just haven't spent time around, go check out our episodes of Figure Fights. 7 out now. A lot of fun. Alex and Molly were wonderful guests, and we got one more with them coming in 2 weeks as well. So check it out. But thank you, Victor. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I had so much fun recording all of those, all the episodes of Figure Fights. It's extra fun to do it with Alex and Molly. And I was plagued at Star Wars Celebration where I wanted to buy every action figure that I didn't have that we talked about. And I did get a couple of them, including the Bigs from our episode with Alex and Molly.
I saw that in your hand. Well done. Well done, sir. Well done, sir. And while we're speaking, I want to shout out The Food in My Beard just joined us on Patreon as well. So we appreciate that. And I believe that's Tim, I believe, right? Hey, Star Wars Explained says, "Still haven't forgiven Joseph for Big's opponent."
Big 6-inch armor. I thought Biggs might be able to handle it. I thought he could maybe do that.
Yeah, absolutely there. All right. Sorry, I think I skipped line again. Is it my turn? Your turn?
I think it's your turn.
Oh man, it does. It doesn't matter. We're just having fun here. Oh, I saw this one earlier. Yeah. Jared says, "Q, best character theme song." This is really tough. Because my mind goes to 9 places at once, Joseph. Fractions.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I think for me, probably Leia. The Force theme / Binary Sunset is always going to be one of my very favorites. Obviously, Duel of the Fates, Across the Stars, Rey's theme. Oh no, actually, Leia and Rey's theme tied. There you go.
We'll allow it.
That's my cheat answer. I
love that.
I love Leia's theme because it is so her. It is resilient, but it is intuitive and kind. It is perfectly deployed in that scene in the last episode of the Kenobi television show. And Rey's theme we've gone on and on about, but amazing introduction to the character in The Force Awakens. And then just like the character, to see all the different ways it grows and expresses itself in The Rise of Skywalker. Phenomenal piece of music by itself, but in terms of music going on a journey with the character, Rey's theme is hard to beat for me.
I'm very happy you chose both those answers in a tie. Leia's themes around the bend, Rey's themes nipping at her heels, and they're both across the finish line at the same time, because it means I can talk about another choice, because I love those two options as well. I think this was not the answer for me growing up, but Yoda's theme just continues to be the most warm, comforting sense of home. I always call it the sound of enlightenment, but the way it's used, it's just such a it's that side of Yoda that we love so much, right? The teacher, the mentor, the guide, the quirky little guy as well, who's going to steal your food as a lesson, or make a joke, or ask for Liam to turn the shades down. There's that comment. That's Liam. I just love it, man, and it wrapped. It's like a warm blanket around me when it showed up, and when he showed up, but when the theme also showed up in The Last Jedi, that just completed the journey for me. And its use in the Clone Wars, wonderful as well. Any other spot Yoda shows up, so love that.
Lot of good choices. John Tetra says Kylo Ren's. Jared says got to go with my boy Palpatine. Our friend Brian Ward, Boba Fett with the lyrics. Fett. Yeah, absolutely. That is a banger, man.
Yeah. I mean, the Mando main theme is what I would kind of call his theme as well, and that one went from woo, this is new and exciting, to it's just wonderful wallpaper, where I'm just like, it felt like it was always there. So there's something.
Yeah. Our friend Jared Kazal echoing these choices, as well as Kenobi's and Thrawn's. Kenobi's I have really, really enjoyed as well. Later in our canon, but I think it fits Kenobi so well. I was so lucky to hear it live at the Hollywood Bowl last year.
That's wonderful.
In Thrawn's theme, I gotta go back and pay more attention to that, because they don't always pop for me. So I'm excited to go listen to that. Thanks for pointing it out.
Yeah. I love that as well. Yeah, I put up real quick. Gaz Nottingham, Han Solo and the Princess is epic. That's great. Well, and you know what? Johnny Williams coming back and doing the Han Solo theme for John Powell's score and the soundtrack as Caleb brings the John Powell score. It's an underrated jam for me. All right,
it is.
I think it really works, and I'm happy it's there.
Yeah, absolutely great choice. Okay, Ken, you did pull that one. So I'm going to.
The Ballad of Keith Kurgo, aka right.
The Live, Somewhere Warm and Easy, right?
Oh, that's beautiful.
The Tragedy of the Pizzos.
Have you ever heard this Tragedy of the Pizzos? I love that.
He wasn't doing anything.
Ilka and Mark and both say Ray's theme playing and Daisy walking down stage of Celebration was moving for both of them. I agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely powerful. Let me see here, Ken.
You're good. I'm still laughing at that. The old Niamos.
Yeah, God, that's great. John Tetra has a super chat. Thank you very much. It says, do you think the discourse in the fandom just shows how passionate Star Wars fans are? I don't buy the saying Star Wars fans hate Star Wars. Yeah, no, I think I agree with that. I think the Star Wars fans hate Star Wars is for me, it's a venting, cathartic thing. It's not a thing I truly believe. I do think a lot of the I think a lot of what I think of as negativity from people who do truly love Star Wars fans is a part of Star Wars or a perspective of Star Wars means so much to them. And then when they don't like something legitimately, as we've discussed earlier, the negativity comes in how they choose to express it. I have friends of many years that I dearly love who choose to express their opinion is a strong, visceral fact. And I don't know if they believe it is visceral fact, if they just choose to express it that way. But, people who grew up with the original trilogy and they have a very set idea of what Star Wars is, and then they don't enjoy a lot of the new Star Wars. And instead of just being able to go, it's not for me anymore, it's the way that they express it. No problem that it's not for them anymore. So I would generally agree with that. I do think, as we talked about before, think we always got to be careful, because I think on the internet,
Mhm.
there are people who are sometimes using issues in Star Wars, in any other kind of entertainment, uh, to spread disinformation or cruelty. And I think some of the anger and the divisiveness we see is people using anything they can to spread that. And I've seen it in
Mhm.
the Doctor Who community and in the Star Wars community. And
Mhm.
every once in a while, I think some of the negativity it just isn't Star Wars fans. It's just about those issues. But I agree with you, with people who legitimately love Star Wars,
Mhm.
much like Anakin, starts
Yeah.
starts from a passionate love that is expressed in a unhealthy and destructive way.
Yeah, no, I agree with that there, and I think there's some truth to what John's saying or asking here, but hey, some of Discord is just passionate Star Wars fans expressing their frustrations with things, and that's fair. I think what I would say is, for the difference, as for us over time, is they're not on podcasts, don't have maybe a responsibility to the audience to try to learn all their perspectives. So you can just go out and tweet something a lot easier than you and I can say if we don't like something. We want to be careful. We want to be respectful, because it's the journey everyone's having with the Star Wars. And if you're not careful of that, you're really stepping on the soul of other fans. This is why I joke a lot about Thrawn, and I have some Thrawn issues, but I got to be careful how I express that, because I know there's people in our chat, because I see them in our Discord. I think Jay from Nowhere in our chat, he's a big Thrawn fan. So why would I want to take their joy away from Thrawn and replace it with my problems with Thrawn? And I can have those problems while being respectful of other people's perspectives. And we have to, because that's the thrust of our podcast. Some of my friends, like you and I have some of the same friends. They don't see it that way. I think they also are. It's this weird balance where the discourse and the fans, they're overvaluing Star Wars or any property, making it more important than, I don't know, the potential of World War III and strife at home, and they overvalue it, and then also then they undervalue it to the point of they undercut the conversations about these things, these pieces of art that can then also affect our interactions with the world. And it also is a big circle that really came to a head in early 2018 when I was like, why is everyone angry? Oh, the world's angry, and this is how we discuss things. And you bring in the competition angle a lot, which I love, which is this: everything is debate. You either win or you lose. And man, that's to me not the way to discuss art. And I didn't always have that opinion. I used to argue with my pal Nick Mundy at Screen Junkies. He used to sit there and say, we are ruining how we take this stuff in. We have to be careful. Now you'd be like, come on, we're just making jokes. I've texted him apologies before and said, Nick, you're right. You're right. We gamified it to the point of we forgot that it was art. And so even then, John, I think you're right. It's some passion, but passion can be dangerous. And that's why I'm so out there on the forefront of, with Joseph and Jennifer as well, of course, of trying to like defend everyone's own interactions with Star Wars as best I can. Because Star Wars and the Lucasfilm and Disney don't need that help. They're companies that will go on regardless, and they'll make their money. But that 5-year-old walking around the convention is Rey. She or they or whoever's in that costume needs to be able to interact with Star Wars in their own way. So that's what we do here.
Well said. Thank you very much for the question in the super chat. Jumping back to music for just a second, I wanted to be sure to share this from Rednax42. Have you checked out Star Wars Lo-Fi on Star Wars YouTube channel? There's an Alamos Beach one. I did not know about that, so thank you for the tip. Now I know exactly what not to listen to when I'm trying not to nap after lunch, because I think that one is going to put me blissfully to sleep. But I'm often looking for music to listen to while I write that doesn't have lyrics, so I'm going to check that out. Thank you so much.
Yeah, right. James says, well said, Ken. Can we talk about the Vong now? No, you cannot talk about the Vong. No, sorry. Oh, no, I got to practice. No, absolutely. We can. We talk about the Yuzan Vong at some point.
We can talk about the Yuzan Vong eventually. Yeah.
Oh, love it. All right. We got a 3-parter here, Joseph. No, you know what?
Wow.
Before we get to 3, we got a great 3-part from Anakin, but I saw this little one here, a little wonderful question from Eric Santiago. Eric, thank you for the super chat. and says, "Hey," with an exclamation point, "I'm heading to Galaxy's Edge for the first time in a few weeks. Any tips or must-do? Love the show." Now, I'll say this. Almost every live stream we get this question, and I love answering this question because there's always someone going to Galaxy's Edge for the first time, and that person always needs wonderful tips because we all want you to experience it in the best way possible. So this is we could almost make this a segment, Joseph. So you're going to Galaxy's Edge, a pamphlet, a virtual pamphlet. Eric, so excited for you, so thrilled. We've got some thoughts, we got some tips. Joseph, you've been more recently than me. Where do you go?
My number one tip is to just be sure to leave yourself time to just enjoy the environment. There are rides, there are things to eat, there are activities, there's stuff to spend money on. But it is just the experience of truly feeling like you're sinking into the sights and the sounds of a Star Wars world. That's really fun for me. If you want to do more of that, speaking of pamphlets, at the creature stall, they give out little pamphlets that are Bina, the character who owns the stall's guide to the animals of Batuu. And it's for kids, but it's a great way to just sink into the environment to look for, like, how is an EOP represented here? Where can you hear the sound of this? Where can you find the Dianoga? For me, that's like the big picture thing, is just sink in and enjoy it. In terms of practical tips, if you haven't getting the app for Disneyland and using all that functionality is really great for maximizing your ride time. If you have to wait in line for Rise of the Resistance, sometimes the wait in the line is like 90 minutes and that's getting hard. But if you only have to wait a half an hour or 45 minutes, the line to get into Rise of the Resistance actually, I think, adds a lot to the ride because you're really sinking into the atmosphere of everything that the Resistance has gone through to build that base. Next one that I would think of is getting into Oga's Cantina. If you're super Disney savvy and got the app and you're able to sign up for it well ahead of time, great. The last time I went in Disneyland, there's a functionality in the app where you can keep checking it to sign up for a wait list and stand in line for 10 minutes. You might not be able to sit down. You have to sit at the table, but Oga's Cantina, they have great drinks. They have, if you're not into alcohol, they have the 0 proof cocktails. That's one of the greatest places of Star Wars immersion. If I could just teleport there at the end of my workday for 45 minutes and Oga's Cantina was just my local, I'd be in heaven. It's so great.
That's all wonderful stuff. Yeah, you've got it down pat. Like I said, I went back in 2020 on a rainy day, and I was a little lost in the mushroom sauce. I didn't know what I was experiencing, and I my friends kind of guided me around. So I lack some of the logistic skills myself for that spot. So what I'll say, Eric, is like Joseph said, number one, take your time, give yourself time, and give into it. Meaning, walk in there, and if you feel like you're being transported away, let yourself be transported away. If you want to take a bunch of pictures, if you want to go up to a cast member and say Bright Suns and try to do a long form improv with them, do it. Do it. Have fun. Let the joy wash over you. I think that's what they've done such a wonderful job with at that spot. The rest of it, it's a theme park. There's lines, all these wonderful tips Joseph's giving you right now of the app, the food. I had to go early, so I got drunk early at 10 a.m. Now, if you don't want to drink, great. But I felt I needed to try every drink in Oga's Cantina at 10 a.m. That was our slot. All that stuff there. But man, just walking around the Rise of the Resistance ride and seeing First Order stormtroopers and watching Kylo Ren go by, and I saw Rey. I never got close to Rey. She was in the distance, and it was just like, oh, Rey's there. Like, at the time, I'm my, now in my late 40s, I feel, the early 40s, a couple years ago, and it's like, just give into it. Just give into it, Eric, and enjoy the vibe. It's amazing. I turned that corner for the first moment, and tears welled in my eyes when I saw the Falcon, and I didn't think that was going to happen. So let it happen, Eric, and then save up for a lightsaber.
Yeah, if you want to do the lightsaber, the actual experience is amazing. You can bring in a friend. You can have the friend take photos of you. I don't know if you're the weeping kind, but it's great to see everybody's photos of their loved one putting together a lightsaber and being deeply moved by it. Awesome. Stoked for the vibes. Dylan S says, but is it as good as floor beer, Joseph? It's a thinker. If anybody isn't caught up on that turn of phrase, I think probably everybody here is. Ken and I have been obsessed for every Star Wars celebration we've gone to together. Chicago, Anaheim, London. The show floor has had access to beer, and you can wander with it. I'm in heaven with a floor beer, looking at weird Lobots. So yeah, the Oga's Cantina drinks pretty close to floor beer. But you know what? The closest I had to floor beer was the last time I went to Disneyland. I split off from my main party because I was just gonna buy a Jedi robe and check out buy a T-shirt for a friend. So it's like I'm going on a mission to Batuu, and I had previously stopped to get Dole Whip. So I was like speed eating the Dole Whip, and I stopped because Kylo Ren had been surrounded by a gang of children who were mercilessly mocking him. And I sat there eating Dole Whip, watching Kylo Ren get mocked by children, and that was as good as floor beer.
The other thing I say, look, money, it all takes money. So if you've saved up your allowance, Eric, great. But if you're swiping credit cards, great as well. All I'm saying, there was a chance where Grace wanted some Sith robes that were on sale there, and we went back for them. And they were priced to go at a higher price than I would have thought, but we could have done it. But we both got that real overwhelming sense of maturity and responsibility in that moment. And I think about once a week, Grace will turn to me and be like, I should have got those Sith robes. And we're fortunate. We're about an hour away from Disneyland if we want to go, but we haven't been back since. Life hasn't taken us there. So, Eric, if this is it, this is it. Make it happen.
Go all in. Enjoy. I want to shout out Big Lou, who often joins us on the streams. Great supporter, great friend. Big Lou's Clubhouse says, hey, I would have been here sooner, but Cal and BD needed me. That is the best plug for the video game I've seen, because that's when a video game, for me, when I really get hooked, when I really was in my Legend of Zelda, particularly Ocarina of Time phase. And my partner at the time was concerned that I was playing too many video games, not my wife Sarah, but my partner before. I'd be like, you don't understand, the Gorons needed me. Their village was corrupted. They needed me. When a video game can make you feel like you are letting the characters down by not taking them through their journey, that's great.
When Red Dead Redemption 2 can make me feel guilty for not giving Arthur Morgan a bath. Oh my God, he's getting too dirty. Honey, I gotta fire up the game and give the guy a bath.
He should be here for my people. Yeah.
Love it. All right.
We're gonna throw one more thing up here since we were chatting with Dylan. Has a great floor beer question. Dylan also says, "Good to meet you guys at your show in London. Cheers." Cheers to you as well. Thank you very, very much, Dylan, for the kind super chat.
Love that there. All right. I believe you're up here. We're going to be doing some other center questions as well here. I see some coming in. So good stuff.
Yeah. But we got a lot backed up here. So we should probably try to grab a few more. Is it my turn? Or is it
I think it's your turn. Yeah. There's some good ones at the beginning here. I don't know. Whatever you.
Yeah. Let's get some earlier ones here. Andrew McNabb, who we had the pleasure of meeting and chatting with at Star Wars Celebration in London as well, says, on the Patreon Discord, we're doing a random rewatch starting with The Force Awakens. Do you have memories or anecdotes that stick out from going to see it 8 years ago? Oh, yes, I do. But Ken, you've launched back into thinking pose.
Thinking. Yeah, I remember getting in my old car now, my Camry, before it was totaled, driving and I was going to a press screening, so fortunate to do that. And I was driving over to the Disney lot, and I just was on Buena Vista Boulevard in Burbank, California, screaming into my steering wheel, I'm about to see new Star Wars. And it just was so exciting and thrilling. And even though the Clone Wars had been out, even though Revenge of the Sith was only 10 years prior, I just never thought I'd be there at this point. Never thought that. And it was just surreal and mind blowing. And that was it. And then seeing it later that weekend with just the general public and with some friends, and a friend and I went, and I just knew she was going to love Rey and what they did with that character. And that kind of stuff was fun too. But I just remember that moment because it was very organic. I was just driving along nervous, it was a 15-minute drive, but it felt like 45 minutes. Every red light was like, come on. And I was so excited.
Yeah, a ton of memories, but kind of the most visceral one Is that I had only been living in Los Angeles for about a year and a half at that point. So it's the first time I
Mm.
was aware that I was surrounded by people who very well could have seen advanced screenings. Not that it doesn't happen
Mhm.
in other parts of the world or other cities in America, but I had so been aware that like how many advanced press screenings there had been. So
Mhm.
it was, I think the first screening was like at 7:01 and we had tickets to like a 7:02. So the ArcLight Hollywood, massive lobby, utterly packed. I was so thrilled to be around everyone, but also like literally covering my ears because I was afraid that somebody who had already seen a press screening was going to spoil something. That was the one just remember. The other one was getting the wonderful experience of it's happening again. Star Wars is coming back again because from my
Mhm.
perspective, growing up with the original trilogy, got to go through that experience with Phantom Menace.
Mm.
And there'd been this really interesting audience applause question of when Star Wars has been gone for so long and it comes back, there's a massive explosion of applause for the
Mm.
Lucasfilm logo. But
Mhm. Mhm.
then there's a little bit of like, oh, we just did this for actual Star Wars hitting the screen
Yeah.
for the big Star Wars
Yeah.
thing. And it just because I'm a performer, I'm always fascinated and like you can't ask the audience to applaud too many times in a row.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember the Phantom Menace being like, ah, losing their mind for Lucasfilm, and they're like, and Star Wars, yes, yeah, like,
Yeah.
so I remember and being like, are people going to falter at all in like massively applauding for both the Lucasfilm logo and
Mm.
for Star Wars? And they didn't.
They didn't. They nailed it. They nailed it. Yeah. 8 years ago, I just saw
Mm.
someone in live chat say that 8 years ago. There you go. 8984M. Holy crap, 8 years ago. Yeah. Yeah. I think we blew Jennifer Orlando's mind the other day when you and I said off air that like, and I think maybe on air, right? That Force Awakens and Revenge of the Sith, it's going to be where we're at with Force Awakens and the next film in 2025.
Oh yeah, 10 years if they make it in 2025.
Mhm.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
Craziness.
mhm.
Craziness. Good stuff. Good stuff there. We got this one just got in now here. We'll get to that three-parter here in a bit here. Joel Ramirez says, evening, gents. Thank you for the super chat, Joel. After a rough week, I'm so glad I caught you guys live. I'm curious if you guys had any character-inspiring moments in Mando Season 3. Take it easy. Cheers from Chicago, a city I love, a city you and I got to spend many hours in 2019. And Joel, I hope you get through the week and can look to the hope of tomorrow and have a good, relaxing weekend no matter what you're doing. We love having you here. Inspiring moments from Mando Season 3. I I I've always been a fan of Bo-Katan. I think I was more a fan of how she was just involved in a larger story I love, which is Satine's story, and just of course Obi-Wan's part of his story as well. But to get to spend quality time with Bo-Katan was wonderful. But the Mythosaur moment and a lot of what's going on in chapter 2 has become my favorite episode of the season. A lot of it is what we were talking about here, Joseph, and some of the things conversation points you led us into of just, it's a meta episode. It is, these stories have value. These myths have value. These playing with the action figures, that has value. Don't look down on that. And Bo-Katan was, because she was in a bad spot and she wasn't enough in her mind. And these stories weren't providing the inspiration, whether the mythosaur is real or not, just what it is, to kind of accept all that into your heart and to have that happen and kind of be rewarded, in this case, literally with a mythosaur waking up and going, I don't know. It became, that episode is very much about Mando and his journey into the pool, his taking a bath that a lot of people thought this entire season was going to be about. And he's got his own thing, but for her to spend time with that character, I've taken a lot of inspiration from that.
Yeah, Bo-Katan was a revelation because I've always enjoyed the character, but getting to spend so much quality time with her, she really resonated. And yeah, I love that her story wasn't about that. I'm gonna go get that mythosaur and I'm gonna use it to kick ass. That it was just a reminder that this is what I used to believe, that the legends of old, the songs of old, that our culture and our perspective mattered, and I lost faith in what I believe in, and being triggered by that experience, being moved by it was great.
Mm.
I loved just thinking about moments, not like favorite episodes or favorite scenes, but choices from characters. I do think that Mando season 3 was a little bit more of an ensemble season. I don't think Din or Grogu didn't matter. I just think
Right.
Bo-Katan did too, and the armor did too. And at certain moments, Paz Vizsla really and his
Yeah.
choices really mattered. I think it was a little bit more of an ensemble show. And
Mhm.
some of the moments I really appreciated is where we got to see Din Djarin and Grogu's growth in their choices. I love that Din uh, is absolutely a Mandalorian. Believes some hard things. He's a
Yeah,
tough
yeah.
and sometimes violent man, but I love how much of it is like, I have no need to compete over this dark saber. I
Yeah.
do not want it. All I care about, I'm laser focused on. I want as many Mandalorians to come together as possible. I don't want us to be spread across the stars. I want us to be together and happy and safe. And that moment where he was really like, take the dark saber. You saved me. It was just a powerful moment.
Mm.
And I love Grogu in IG-11 breaking up the fight.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
the
yeah.
only one that could do it. But I also love, when the armor does kind of give him a choice of being like, hey, great, you're here with your dad, but if you want to be a Mandalorian, you have to listen to the the painful ringing face your trauma hammer, and his little teeth come out, and he's so scared, but he thinks about his trauma, which we know he doesn't want
Yeah,
to. And like,
yeah.
you go, Grogu.
Yeah, and Sabersmith has a comment about Ahmed Best was for me awesome. Seeing him come back after everything that happened to him shows me we can move past the negative and turn to positive. And that was such a meta moment, indeed, right? Indeed, but the moment itself, you and I both, I think, gravitated to the it's going to be all right, kid moment, and someone
Mhm.
taking care of the generation that's coming up behind, and that's so much of our perspective as Star Wars fans now too. So much of our show, ForceCenter's perspective, but to have Ahmed doing it and combine that with Chuck Wendig's aftermath epilogue for Jar Jar, where he's only left to take care of the refugee children, and it's a lot of meta wrapped up in story. That was a great
Mhm.
moment for so many reasons. So, Sabersmith, we're with you.
Absolutely agreed. 8984M says IG-12. You mean you are right. Thank you. I said IG-11, but when Grogu's in there, it's
Yeah,
IG-12,
yeah, yeah.
IG-11.
Yes,
Now the Marshal of Navarro. Thank you for that.
I still think that's absolutely one of my favorite moments in Star Wars in terms of humor.
Yes, 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 yes. Walking down the street, a beautiful memory. Watching that in our hotel room in Nottingham with my wife Sarah. Beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You've been teasing this 3-parter that you've been tracking.
Oh yeah, should
Uh,
we do it here? Should
let's
we
do the
do it?
3-parter.
Let's do the 3-parter here. All right, let me. We know how to. We know what. Let me make sure I get to the one. All right, all right. Our buddy Anakin Crespin, always so generous, always so supportive, and yes, Anakin is his real name. Says hello. The trailers and announcements from Celebration were great, but holy smokes, the action figure reveals were nuts. A ton of my Dream Black Series figures were just casually announced in a row. At the Hasbro panel, like Force Ghost Annie, Battle Damage Vader, Force Ghost Qui-Gon, Pre-Vizsla, Cad Bane from Book of Boba Fett, and so on. Did you guys catch any of the reveals? And are you going to be purchasing the vintage collection N1 Starfighter from Mando? Also, would you care to show off some figures you got while in London? Thanks, guys. May the Force be with you. Well, this is, I have to kind of tip the cap first to Anakin for those questions, but to you, Joseph, I didn't get a figure in Celebration London. So this is tailor-made for you and your expertise and that duffel bag.
Yeah, we did not make it to the panel, and I'm so thrilled for some of those Black Series reveals. A great list of amazing figures. I think I got a little not I'm trying to think of the right way to say it. I got some of the things that I had been waiting for announced a little bit before Celebration because I'm mainly a vintage collector. The Tusken Warrior from Book of Boba Fett that I have pre-ordered.
Right.
The announcement of Jedi training Luke on Ossus from Book of Boba Fett that I also have pre-ordered. Is a pipeline announcement, but a 2-pack of Kenobi and Battle Damage Vader from the Kenobi show. So some of the announcements that I was most excited about for the vintage line were coming before this, but super excited for those Black Series announcements, and we'll see if I can resist picking them up or not. The N1 Starfighter. Oh, I'm so very tempted. I had this exact conversation on the phone with friend of the podcast, Ken Plume, who has already told me he's not in the chat because he's watching Return of the Jedi in the theater right now. Only reason he's not on this chat, encouraging me to get the N1. I'm really tempted by it. I am really getting into a space issue. Not a fun outer space issue, a literal space issue where I'm like, most of the figures I picked up in London were not vintage figures. Vintage figures stack well. Other figures don't stack well, which makes them even harder to collect. So I'm real tempted by the N1, real excited by all the announcements, and very excited for people who are diehard Black Series collectors, because that was a big bounty. The figure that's within reach here, I'll reach for it.
Yeah. I'm not ignoring you. I'm trying to pull up pictures I have on my phone that I took of figures that I wanted.
Oh yeah. So this was not one I picked up at Celebration. This is one that I picked up as you can see at Forbidden Planet Mega Store in London. The Death Watch Mandalorian. Now this is a fun figure for me because I never really, the Death Watch in the Clone Wars, like they're very much the bad guys, and they are very mean to my pal Obi-Wan Kenobi. But I really like this. This is a figure of the Mandalorians who rescued Boba, or not rescued Boba, rescued Din Djarin, excuse me. And I posted on social media, the Megastore Forbidden Planet in London there has that huge full wall of Star Wars action figures. And I just couldn't, I bought a lot of Doctor Who stuff there that I can't get other places. But I couldn't leave without buying a Star Wars figure off the wall of that. So that was the one I picked out. What do you find in there, Ken?
Well, I just took a ton of photos of the Indiana Jones figures and stuff, and I, like even Walter Donovan, he chose poorly. Like, I'm just so excited for those, and I don't have the room or the allowance money to buy all of them, but my life finds a way. Like, I've just been waiting for years for good Indiana Jones figures, and they tried again in 2008-ish when Crystal Skull came out, and it didn't capture the right vibe. And the classic Kenner Indiana Jones figures are, there's a story behind them, and they didn't work as well. So as an indie fan, I don't have a ton of indie merch. I have a hat, I have a mighty mug, I have that kind of stuff. But I those figures, just you there with me. I was just in that corner, just Marion's got her frying. Joseph Marion's got her frying. She's got her frying. I'm so excited. So those are.
Yeah, that I broke. I wanted, in the spirit of archaeology, to find Indiana Jones figures physically in the world, and I broke, and I ordered the Retro Raiders. And in my research, I didn't realize that a bunch of the figures are not available yet in the US that were physically hanging there in London at Forbidden Planet. I want that Temple of Doom retro indie with interestingly sculpted chest, wide open chest, machete, or whatever the technical term is for that long, dangerous blade he has.
Machete worked for me as a kid. Yeah,
I had him in my hand. I had both of the indies in my hand. And, anyway,
would
I
you
gotta fly back to London? That's the point.
Yeah. Would you have had to declare that at customs at LAX? Would you have had to declare that? I have one Temple of the Doom Indiana Jones figure
with a small plastic knife thing. No, my wife wisely came up with the plan for Star Wars Celebration of, we're going to pre-pack foldable bags, and then on the way there, we're not going to check any baggage. On the way home, we're going to check our clothing and stuff. And you'll just have a duffel bag full of action figures and books, which I did. And I posted that on social media too. It looked like I was a bag man for a heist coming home late at night in Los Angeles, but it's full of action figures.
Love that. Love that. Yeah. One of these days. Yeah.
Yeah, you grabbed that one there for the three-putter. Thank you so much. Don't worry, there'll be more action figure talk. Let's grab some other of these super chats. Big Lou says, "Love this past season and what it represents. Do you think we'll ever learn the armor's name, and does her name even matter to her identity?" That's a great question. Where do you go with this, Ken?
Look, my gut answer is no. Her name doesn't necessarily matter to the story. I know there was a lot of talk of Rook cast, and if they went that direction, they would have gone that direction. I don't think that's the case because I just think it's beyond that, and doesn't mean it's not fun to speculate about her name. I have thoughts too. I thought we were going to see Emily Swallow's face. I thought we were going to. She's there. She's on set. Let's do this, right? I thought at one point that might have been played this season, but maybe if we go back to the character, and I to be honest with you, I don't know how much we're going to go back to the character if there's this season 4 of kind of Mando out there of part of Carson's heroes going around the galaxy. But the important thing is at the end of the day, it's her actions, it's what she's talking about, it's what's her mistakes and also her choices. And sticking to those choices. I was one of the people who has loved this character, but definitely didn't trust her. Maybe she should. Maybe she earned my trust. Maybe I should be a little more open to the armor going forward because she seems to make some decisions and stick by them. So that's where I go with it. Eventually, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a name and get a face, but not now.
Yeah, I think for me, like if she's Rook cast, that would be cool. I would be fine with that because I feel like it tracks with what is interesting to me about the character, and what I want from the character is for her to at some point reckon with being a splinter of Death Watch. Even though I have my my Death Watch figure that I really like because it's the one that rescued Din Djarin, or one of them. The Death Watch's perspective and morality was crystal clear in Clone Wars and the damage it did. And to understand from the armor's perspective, what did she take from that philosophy and what did she reject and why? And as she is opening up to Mandalorians are stronger together, and our group can continue to believe in the way this way, but we'll be tolerating, acceptant partners with people who interpret the way differently. Does she now question any of the way that she helped raise Din Djarin? I don't know if the show's going to dive into those kind of issues, but that's the kind of stuff that I'm interested in reckoning in with the armor. And I would be fine if we. I mean, Emily Swallow is a phenomenal actor, so I would love for there to be a reason for her to take the helmet off just for the acting. But for the character, I kind of almost like that. Either before or during the purge, she made a decision that her name is her role. Her role is her identity. She is the armorer. That is her name to her because that is her place in their society.
Andrew McNabb follows up. I bet her name is actually the Armorer. Apostrophes like a Star Wars name should be. Now, wonderful stuff. Fascinating character, and I'm with you. There's so many answers maybe to still get from the character. I just have to. I think I'm preparing myself that we're not going to get them or get them anytime soon. I just don't see where if the show's going one direction. We'll see where they go. But again, Mandalore in the New Republic era, they have a place now, right? And they're changed the way they look at their involvement in the galaxy, and maybe the galaxy looks at them might be different than it has in the past. And I think she would have a key part in that, especially, hey, they did relight the Great Forge, and she knows the way around the Forge. So I think we'll see her again. Just maybe we'll see how much.
The planet's got plenty of Beskar, so yeah. Try this in real quick here. The Sabersmith asks, where do you see season 4 of Mando going moving forward? Because I think it kind of ties into our conversation about the armor. I do think that because the Mandoverse as a whole is clearly interested in dealing with the larger politics and reality of the New Republic, building to whatever exactly Filoni's movie is, I don't think we're done with Mandalorian conflict at all. Because I think they are going to rebuild. They're going to be resurgent. And now there's going to be a question of how are they going to interact with the rest of the galaxy? Like Mon Mothma has to know, like, they would be a powerful ally if they wanted to join the New Republic. Mandalorians, not big joiners.
No.
Not sure if they would want to. So how can we have an alliance? And of course, the remnants of the Empire and or Baby First Order knows that, they are a threat. They are a threat. So that who does Mandalore want to be to the rest of the galaxy? I think that's a big question on the table for season 4, as well as whatever journeys Grogu is going through. I really do hope that we get to a focus on Grogu, because he's got, in some ways, the most unanswered questions in a lot of growth to do. So I hope there's a real focus on Grogu.
You've just made me think of a dream scene of Mon Mothma sitting opposite the armorer, having a discussion. I know Bo-Katan's got, a little bit to do with the leadership of Mandalore, but I could see her sending in the armorer why don't you go talk to Mon Mothma? That'd be a great scene. Great scene.
That would be fabulous. Well, we did promote Other Center. We've got a lot of Star Wars questions, so we want to be sure to answer those, as many of those as we can, and be sure to get to everyone who's kind enough to do a super chat. So we absolutely will. But I'll take a couple minutes to talk Other Center. Thank you for everybody who has come with us on this journey of playing around with some Star Wars adjacent topics and some Star Wars far away topics. Our last stream, we kind of just threw it open to everything. And this week, we thought it'd be fun to talk a little bit about our experiences of traveling. We got a question. I wanted to kick off. We're going to talk Other Center just a little bit here. Ken, for me, going to London was this really interesting experience of returning. I'm not an expert by any means. I lived there for a very short time, 3 months, but like I said, I lived there with Sarah and I when we were freshly engaged. We got our wedding rings there, and we revisited the store where we bought our wedding rings. We were at the beginning of our life together, and we were returning 17 years later. So it was this, for me, that was a part of the London experience of traveling in time. But for you, this was your first time out of the United States at all, right?
It was, and that meant a lot. And I've, wanted to do that my whole life, particularly, London was always high on my list as a kid. I just didn't get that chance. And I said this before. I think I said this more on my show, the Blathering. So I'll clean it up a little bit. I sometimes was downright kind of, I don't know, defensive. I would tell some people I haven't traveled, and people from other parts of the world be like, "Oh, so American of you to not travel around the world." I'm like, time out. Lower middle class family. Barely got out of California, didn't get this opportunity. There's parts of America I haven't seen. I've been to a lot of places doing comedy in a lot of places, but I want to get to Minneapolis. I want to get, there's places in this country I haven't seen. So to finally to do that and to get over a lot of anxiety, I don't have a problem. I love flying on planes. I love airports. Airports are like my favorite spots to hang out. I mean, that's really, I love hotel life, love all that stuff, but I got the passport in the middle of last year and was ready, but had a lot of questions, and it kind of, I'm not an anxious person, but my anxieties, when they show up in big ways. And I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know how I received, and where do you get money? And you and Sarah could have been the more, couldn't have found better guides to land in that city. On here's the money, and here's how to get on the tubes. And then once I'm settled, I'm settled. Once I get out of the hotel and go find a convenience store, I know that I can live for the next 4 to 5 days. And that's what
Tesco Express is what you needed, which warmed my heart. I am curious now that I got to see you enjoy London. I got to hear about you enjoying Paris. So I know that you enjoyed the cities. I know that you enjoyed the experiences. Coming back to America, how do you feel different from having traveled? Has it given you different perspective on America or your day-to-day life or the differences?
Yeah, I miss those long sandwiches that just slide perfectly into your mouth. Yeah, no, it's and Maddie Gunner was, speaking of other great hosts and guides. Maddie Gunner, I'm glad you came over. I'm not too fond of my home because I've been here so long. We know it means so much to you too. Yeah, Maddie was wonderful. Yeah, no, I think you definitely get a sense of being plugged in, and that's when I say earlier, when some people are like, "Oh, it's so American not to travel." Like, yeah, no, we are definitely American centric in our views of the world, but that's also, I think, because our pop culture is, to me, the most dominant thing around the world. And my grandparents, rest in peace, now, were from Ukraine and Circassian, and they used to send back Levi jeans and movies, VHS of Bonanza, like that kind of stuff was part of our influence. I think it just naturally kind of flows over to our way of we view the world, which is not the best way to look at it. So it's been important to know that it's just normal. This is the biggest thing I'd say. It's just normal. you get there, it did not look like a Monty Python sketch, like at the film when they go out of the studio. It just looked like another part of the world because we're all in this together, right? And those boundaries really come down. I really felt that, particularly in Paris too. We're going to spend those 2 days there. So yeah, coming back, you just it seems silly, but I think it's important that this is a larger world. And it's just people trying to get by. It's just people trying to get through the day. It's just people trying to get a nice black currant Oasis soda from a Nisa or a Tesco Express. And that helps me look at, it's that symbiotic circle that Obi-Wan talks about so much. I felt that. I really did feel that.
That's great. Yeah, it's great. For me, I think it some things have definitely changed in London. Some things like I knew about and was excited. One of the top things on my list was like, I hope upper crust sandwiches is still a thing. And then, I think you saw Sarah and I have one. Like, I'm gonna looks like those would be easy to eat. It became a joke at our stand-up show that you described them as mouse-sized sandwiches because they fit in your mouth, whereas I think most American sandwiches are ego-sized of like, can you handle this sandwich? Whereas the upper crust is like, this is a reasonable amount of food. You can easily eat it while you're walking. It tastes like basically healthy and real. So there are the things I was looking forward to. There are the things that had changed. And I think because the cultures on the surface are similar. It isn't an entirely different, like literal spoken language, different accents and that. That there is this great compare and contrast of like, there are things that are definitely different, but it is the human journey. And for me to go to London and I visited Nottingham as well, which was different, and to see these things that are special to me or resonant because I'm not around them all the time, and I'm also not aware of sort of like the problems and the conflicts around them. They're fresh to me, that I can see them in a new light. And coming back home and remembering that's the way people are going to see here, right? Like I can look at a block in Los Angeles and go, yeah, they tore down this and it's garbage. And somebody can be like, I went to that sandwich shop on this block and it was amazing. I had the best sandwich ever. And I come in here with like, but they tore down, right? And it's garbage. Like, I think just remembering to have those perspectives about the way we perceive things, exactly as Maddie is saying. Maddie's got frustrations, totally understandable. I know there are a lot of problems everywhere. One of my favorite experiences in Nottingham, I went there because my line of Scrimshaw is from Nottingham, and I was just really curious about the city. I'd always wanted to go there. On the last day we were there, we were taking a picture by one of these lion statues in the kind of the central courtyard of the city center. And this woman is like, this older woman in her 60s was like, I used to sit there on that lion when I was 3 or 5 years old. You should try sitting on it. Just struck up a chat with her, and she asked, like, oh, you're American, and like, why are you here? And they're like, well, told her, and like, in cities amazing. And she's like, yeah, it's not what it used to be. And like, yep, everybody's got those life perspectives. I was able to ask her, like, I'm curious if there are any Scrimshaws around, because they're like 200 in the graveyard. There used to be a lot of us here. And she was like, oh yeah, a Scrimshaw reads me the news on Radio Nottingham every morning. The news presenter there is Lewis Scrimshaw. It's just a lovely conversation with a person who truly lives there and was kind about the way I was seeing the city, but was being honest about the way she saw it living her entire life.
Yeah. It almost sounded like she was about to say to you and Sarah, there's been no one for so long.
It did have that vibe. It really did have that vibe.
Love it. No, it was so much fun. And we got some questions about it there. Also some great comments coming in there. And Harrison said, being a public transit and bike pedestrian friendly infrastructure, that's usually a major takeaway for me when leaving the US for Europe in particular. I miss not needing to drive everywhere. I love driving, and I love my favorite times in my car. So it's a weird thing when I have to, like, the idea of living in a spot where I don't have my car is not one of my favorite things. However, when it works right, I get it. Like, it was both cities. It was smooth.
Yeah, real smooth. We got some great comments, some great questions, but I want to be sure to share this one, one from Natalie a while back. What non-Star Wars thing did you enjoy most about London? So, Ken, besides the mouth-sized sandwiches, what did you enjoy most?
I just enjoyed that night we got to walk around and just kind of this would be my answer for Paris as well. But to finally feel what people had told me for years of wait till you get to an old city. Like I've been to New York and DC, and DC is an old city, but like I haven't been to Boston, which has that feel as well. And I can't wait. That's on my list this year to do some stand up in. But to just turn the corner and be like, oh yeah, that's the Globe Theater. Now it was rebuilt along the way, but that's on the spot where the Globe Theater was in the 1600s. For us to go to that bar, the old Cheshire Cheese, right? That's
the old
like
Cheshire Cheese, yeah,
400 years, and Mark Twain and Charles Dickens, and just to actually have that be felt, you feel that kind of energy. I'll never forget the first time I felt that, because I'm sure you go back, you know, being in Paris by the end of the second day, it was like, yeah, that's the Eiffel Tower. But the first day, it was like out my hotel room, just like, of course. And it's like here, like when people are like, that's the Hollywood sign. Yeah, I know. It's the other side of Burbank. Yeah, what do you want? Like, I get it, but the experience, that was my favorite thing, just to explore. Because I said, I love doing the tourist things. And in Paris, we did 2 days of the tourist things, and I wouldn't want any other way. But my favorite thing is to just kind of act like I lived there for about 4 or 5 days. And that's what we got to do in London, just walk around and discover it.
yeah. And credit to, I think, some of the way that London has presented itself. That's a weird way to say it, but in particular, so Sarah and I lived in sort of the near the Farringdon station when we lived there. So Star Wars Celebration, we were happy to be back in London, but we're not in a part of it we've been in. That night that you and I and your partner Grace went in, that was some of our stomping grounds, and we walked past St. Paul's, which is amazing. I wanted to walk down the steps across the street from St. Paul, because that's where there's been some famous Cybermen walking down the stairs, invading London shots in Doctor Who. But the way that they constructed those steps right down from St. Paul to lead onto that Millennium Bridge, that beautiful pedestrian-friendly walking bridge, which is also just like, wander out here and see the Globe, see the Tate Modern, see the Tower Bridge. It is, all cities should have pedestrian friendly places where you can kind of take in some of the majesty and the fame from an easy spot where you don't feel like you're in people's way. And like, that's something that LA has continued to struggle with, of like, where do we give people a place to look at the Hollywood sign where they're not like standing in traffic, and the Millennium Bridge is so great for that.
Yeah, I just haven't. Grace had wanted to see the Globe as an actor and someone who came from the theater. That's kind of a place she wanted just to see, and we stumbled upon it. I think you and Sarah knew it was right around the corner, but like we're on that Millennium Bridge, and I was getting emotional seeing the River Thames for the first time, because I had looked at it on a map when I was like 7 and thought, what it would be like to see that. So I was having one of those little weird moments, and then Grace was like, I want to see the Globe, and I'm like, yeah, it's right over there, because I'd seen it on Google Maps. I was like, it's over there, and just have like, it's all right here and experience. And again, even David in chat saying it's great hearing you talk about London like this. Growing up in England, I think are very much taken for granted. Yeah, because that's natural. That's absolutely natural. That's what it is. And so but it was a great city. It was a great city, and Paris I could talk about for hours. I had just a great time there as well.
Yeah. I think my favorite London thing that I did that was new is I'm a big James Bond fan, both the literary Bond and the cinematic Bond. So I had heard of this place called Duke's Bar, which is somewhere that Ian Fleming had hung out. It's in a very, very fancy, high-end hotel. And it said everywhere, yep, you can just show up at 3 p.m. That's when we open. We got there a little late. It's 3:30. We had to wait a little bit. But there's this, I didn't know what to expect. I thought that like, okay, it's going to be kind of it's going to be a hotel, pub / bar, probably not a pub wooden pints vibe, but a cocktail place and a high end. But I thought the vibe might be, oh, the Bond nerds are here again, so we'll make you one of your martinis. Fine. They were so friendly to Bond nerds, as well as to like, they're kind of just high end. I'm a very wealthy person staying at this hotel, and it was, the experience was amazing. The cocktails were next level, but amazing thing about it was they had this cocktail scientist who looked like he stepped out of a Fleming novel or a Bond film.
Yeah.
He was Italian, and he came along with his cart with all. He'd take your order, and they had many great cocktails, including Bond themed ones, relatively obscure Bond related ones.
Hmm.
Take your order, then he'd come back with his cart with the ingredients specifically for your drinks, and explain in his lovely accent every ingredient, make a little joke, and then make a real show of like, instead of shaking or stirring, he would agitate the drinks by pouring them very tall, and then he'd cut and do a little flare like that. It was just next level amazing experience for a cocktail fan and a Bond fan. And after he finished every drink, he'd go, "And perfection." And it was perfection.
I bet Count Dooku would like him.
Yeah, exactly. Couple other things here. Corey Hendrickson with the super chat saying, Joseph, the Twin Cities rock so much culture. Yes, they do. I'm really proud of being from Minneapolis, St. Paul. I feel like Los Angeles is my home because I live here now, but the Twin Cities are my always and forever home. And there's some stuff that I really partook in, and there's some stuff like, oh yeah, I should have maybe gone to that museum in the decades I lived there. That I love seeing the Twin Cities from outside eyes as well. Just a great place. Ken, any other center questions you're finding you want to grab?
Yeah. One more here in travel. Then we got an interesting one from our pal Neil Handstock here. The Sabersmith says, question after this trip, where would you travel to next? Ooh, I like I said, I like to experience. I love the touristy thing. Then I like to go back and just experience it. So I'm looking forward to getting back to both soon, and especially Paris. I did kind of fall in love with Paris, and I just want to go back for 2 weeks, wake up late, go to a cafe, take a nap, write for 3 hours, and then go eat dinner till 2 a.m. Like, so I'll do that for like 2 weeks, right? Be easy, right? I'll save up that money. But as far as other places, yeah, I mean, it's the greatest hits, but Rome, Italy, we've been told to get to as well. Our friend Jen Murrow, who's Italian, is like, Rome's great. Go to Florence. Everyone's got a thought and opinion where to go. I'd love to get down to New Zealand. I actually have a ForceCenter listener maybe has a job there in New Zealand related to things with rings and hobbits, who's like, come on down. Give you a tour around. I have a fear that I might never leave, just beautiful spot. So a lot of places like that. But then again, this is a beautiful country that we're in. I haven't been to Nashville in a long time. I want to get to Boston. I absolutely need it. I want to get to Minneapolis. Haven't spent a ton of time in Atlanta. I love Seattle. Seattle's great. And Ellis and I go up there about once a year. And DC is one of my favorite cities as well. Like I'm not done traveling these 50 states here. So
no, and it is. People were having a great conversation about travel, about the reality that it is a luxury. I'm in the same boat as you, Ken. I grew up middle to lower middle class, and travel was just not happening. That was a dream. That was a fantasy. Star Wars Celebration has become extremely expensive. We're very lucky to be doing all of this. Someone else pointed out that, it's also, America's a large place. There's so many places you want to go in America. I've spent very little time in New York. I really want to spend some time in New York. I've been to Portland and Seattle a ton, but I really want to go to all of the filming locations for Twin Peaks. I really want to take a Twin Peaks trip. I've been to Paris once, but my wife really wants to spend some time in the various wine regions. She's told me that there are hotels and caves. So I want to sleep in a cave and drink wine and write little stories in a book like Ken. Also, I want to go to Lake Como and fantasize that I'm both Anakin and James Bond at the same time. Come on.
Same time. Yeah. Well, case in point, to just go back to America. Like, I grew up, I'm California born and raised. I grew up 3 hours north of LA, but 4 hours south of San Francisco. I've been to San Francisco 2 times in my life. That's travel is sometimes, it's taken for granted by others to get a chance to do it. I'm blessed to do because of Mark Ellis taking me on the road a lot. That's the most traveling I've ever done. And I saw someone in chat, Pittsburgh's on our list, Boston's on our list. There's a lot more. Yeah. So that's been part of the fun too. Didn't get to do that till late in life.
I did a great show when I was touring once with my friends, the Double Clicks in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh was beautiful, amazing, and love just driving through it. Andrew McNabb says Scotland. Oh yes,
Edinburgh. Absolutely.
I would be thrilled if Star Wars Celebration happened anywhere in Scotland. I've had the great joy to visit Edinburgh twice, and then from Edinburgh went up to Inverness and did a very great, cheesy but also beautiful tour of Loch Ness. Like, the presentation can be as cheesy as it wants, and it was a little cheesy, but once you're out on the loch, that's just beauty. I love Edinburgh. A huge part of my theater career in the Twin Cities was doing the Minnesota Fringe Festival, so I've always wanted to do the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. And I've never been to Glasgow, so I want to go to Glasgow and go back to Edinburgh. So I need to do a whole Scotland tour.
Yeah, I gotta watch. I gotta walk the Firth of Forth to. My old friend used to be in Scotland Yard, and he used to patrol the shores, and he used to tell me about it, and so I want to go experience that too. Yeah, and somebody, Jared Cosell's talking about, hey, what about Japan? And there's that whole Star Wars Celebration 2025 thing. We'll see if get to Tokyo. I want to. It's on the list.
We'll see what we can sneak in before we try to go to Tokyo. Any you wanted to grab that one from Neil Handstock, right?
Yeah. Neil says the other center question: are either of you interested in astronomy? Are you looking forward to watching the next moon landing? Yeah, in a roundabout kind of way. I am. My pal Roger Craig Smith is one of those cats that all of a sudden one day had every telescope in the world and spends his evenings looking to the stars and taking great photos and stuff. And he actually moved out of LA to help him see things clear. And I love it from that aspect. I'd love to moon landing, Mars landing. I don't know if I want to go. I don't know if I want to move to Mars. Might be a bit for me. When they get an upper crust there, maybe I'll go. Absolutely. I have a interest in it in the sense of, I'm a human on Earth. We should probably be interested about what's going on up there.
Yeah. No, I love it. And if a moon landing, I will happily, I'd be very excited to watch a moon landing. My wife and I took a trip to a national park, Sequoia National Park, in 2021. And part of the reason was, hey, big trees, beautiful. But also, like, she just desperately wanted to see stars. And it was really amazing to be outside, no light pollution, pitch black, looking up at the stars. And then something briefly interrupts the stars. And it's like, oh, that was a bat. 6 inches from my face. Cool. Absolutely beautiful. I always struggled with astronomy in school, in college. For part of my science requirement, I took an astronomy class, and I struggled because to me space was so tied to all of my creative impulses and my love of science fiction. I'd be there sitting there trying to learn a fact about the moon, and I'd just be like, what if a hand popped out of the surface and then I have a hard time sometimes focusing on the science of it, the true beauty of it, and the awe of it, because the awe of it gets my creative brain going.
Yeah, as it should. You're in the right field then. You've chosen.
Yeah.
Obviously.
So that is it. We want to make sure that we get back to some of the great Star Wars questions that people ask. Thank you, everyone, for being so engaged and interested in Other Center. It has been just phenomenal to learn a little bit more about where everybody is from, getting to meet people from all over Europe when we were in London. Also, just with getting the survey results back and starting to see where everybody really lives, and hearing all your comments in the chat. So thank you all for that. Again, should we dive back into the galaxy far, far away?
Yeah, and I got one because he thought I forgot about him. PLD, ain't nobody going to forget about you. All right. Where do you want to see Star Wars animation go after Bad Batch Season 3? Continue the Bad Batch of Rebels timeline into the original trilogy era? That's not bad. Or explore a different era where we could see familiar characters or something completely new. This is always one of those, what I call those ForceCenter temperature check kind of questions. We get asked every now and then, and I like that because sometimes my answer changes. But you've always got some great thoughts, Joseph. Where you go?
Yeah, I don't know that my answer has changed much.
Mhm.
I love that Bad Batch is wrapping up with the third season, so it's locked, completed, all that. Um, I would really, really love to spend some time with Luke's school.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
know that Filoni has clearly been playing with the character of Luke, defining when he really starts his school
Mhm.
on Ossus. Um, the comic book that I will not shut up about, Rise of Kylo Ren, 4 issues, but it presents Luke as having a functional school and or order where
Mhm.
trained Jedi are off doing things. Um, I really think in the same way that I would love the prequel trilogy if the Clone Wars never happened. But the
Mhm.
Clone Wars also expand the story greatly and make the prequels even richer. I
Yeah.
think a school where we could see Luke being a great teacher, being a great Jedi, having a little missteps, but seeing him kind of build some of the hubris that he talks about in Last Jedi, where we could see him be a hero, but we could see cracks appearing as well. The same way
Mhm.
in the Clone Wars that we got to see that warm, loving, fun Anakin who is a brother and a figure to Obi-Wan and a brother figure to Ahsoka, but also see the cracks. I would
Mhm.
love that for Luke, and I would love that to spend more time with the character of Ben Solo.
Yeah, all great answers there. That's a Force Center well said on that kind of pitch. It'd be wonderful if there. There's so much room on the map to play with in that timeline. So yeah, Gaz Nottingham has said one that I've said before too. The Raiders of the Lost Temples, Luke and Lor Santeca. There's a lot of that stuff to go along as well. My answer right now today is because I saw someone remind me of how much I do want this story. I've always wanted it in book form, but man, with Tales of the Jedi, which by the way, I think we're gonna get that another volume, and we'll see where that goes. I the Obi-Wan and Satine and
Mm,
younger Qui-Gon. If you can have if you need Liam's son to come in and play a little aged up version too, give me 2 seasons of that. Give me 1 season. Just give me a 22 episode animated season of their adventure, that story, their love, their trials, and their heartbreak. It'd be great.
mm. Yep. I've always loved Obi-Wan's line of like, if you had said the word, I would have left the Jedi Order. And I've always thought like,
So
really putting the decision entirely on Satine. I'd love to see that.
that's
Not a
not
question, but a good observation. Andrew McNabb says the lighting makes it look like Joseph has a Padawan braid. Indeed, I
it
do.
does, it does.
When I've passed my broadcasting trials, a Jedi will cut these off of me, and I will get some actual headphones.
Love it. Love it. Love it. That's beautiful. Good stuff. Thank you, PLD, for that question there. Well,
Absolutely.
we got a few to get to here. We got about half hour or so left here until my back
Yeah.
completely gives out, or this beer hits. Yeah. Where do you go?
Well, this was a similar one, so we want to be sure to shout it out from Jared. Thank you so much for the
Oh,
super chat. Your thoughts on where the Star Wars animation might be headed after the Bad Batch's final season and Tales of Jedi season 2, the distant past, Luke and Ben in the post Return of the Jedi Order, Rey and the new Jedi Order. That's
that's
really,
it.
really interesting.
Especially
Yeah.
if where are you at with? We've gotten so much, so little of information about that series, about that movie. Understandably, I sometimes don't know what I heard first. Is it that Ray's establishing it or has established it? How do you take it for the film?
I feel like the quotes I've heard, and I would need to look them up to verify, are like trying to get it started. So I think it's sort of the stumbling steps of maybe she's trained Finn, maybe she's trained a couple other Jedi, and now there are a couple masters. She is the master, but maybe and now she's really like Luke trying to build something.
Mm,
So I think it's possible that we would have a story going forward from the movie, or I think that, I mean, it'd be really interesting for an animated series um, to deal with some of Rey's adventures immediately post Rise of Skywalker.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, that's actually a great idea too. That's kind of where
yeah.
you can get some of those answers and stories.
It's a really, really out there one. the Lando show is announced. Donald Glover is a very busy, very successful actor, so maybe live
Mm,
action is going to be challenging. I would
mm,
be perfectly happy with an animated show that is the Calrissian Chronicles. That's some Lando adventures over
mm.
time.
I think that'd be a great idea. Yeah, Jay from nowhere. How about a Lando show with live action bookends featuring Billy Dee and Donald Glover? It's animated and live action. I love that.
Oh, love it, love it.
How about together? Just have Billy D. Williams and Roger Rabbit. Just do it like that. Do it like that.
Love it.
Yeah.
Animated Lobot series. There we go.
Here's this one. I saw this. All right, I'm gonna do a quick other center one here because this was I actually want to get to this one here. Davis is for Ken, maybe Joseph too. Oasis are one of the best B-side bands of all time. So that end, what do you have a favorite Oasis B-side? I absolutely Oasis is I think the best B-side band of all time because you look at some of the songs that are B-sides and you go, holy crap! It's similar to like the Beatles releasing Sgt. Pepper and Penny Lane as a single. My answer to that is always listen up. And Talk Tonight, Acquiesce as well. But those ones hit me first. It's a lot of Noel being by himself is what some of the B-sides I love. But Listen Up is one of my favorite songs of all time. And that's an Oasis B-side. So there you go. I wanted to get to that one there, David. I thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And I completely agree with that because I don't know anything about Oasis. So I second exactly what you said.
Any Guns N' Roses songs that are B-sides that we'd be surprised about?
Ooh.
Any like, they didn't have, Oasis put out probably more actual single releases with B-sides than a lot of American bands.
Yeah, you'd have to get into like kind of much more of the like obscure early 90s weird vinyl releases that are more like alt takes of Don't Cry in November Rain and that because a lot of their B-sides ended up being pretty big songs.
Yeah, that's the thing. But here's the question I was going to get to is right below it here. And 89 pop up. It's not let me pop up. Don't know why. Oh, there it is. Try not to get too real world, but how do you think the incoming writer strike will affect films and shows? It is a great question. I don't know right away, but I think that's definitely why John's got scripts for season 4 already tucked away. I think that was in anticipation of other than projects like writing them, but I think that had a little bit of that anticipation vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, some of the talks, actually, some of the sound bites that we've heard about writing, that Mandalorian season 4 is written. So in theory, they could be on pre-production on that. Kathleen Kennedy was saying that she had high hopes that the script for the new Jedi Order film would be done mid to late May, which if there is a strike, there's a possibility that squeaks in and they're happy with it and can happy with enough to really start pre-production. It's I think with Star Wars, they are far enough out. I would say with the exception of the movie, which really has to be, it's got to keep moving. With the exception of that, Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, Mandalorian season 4 being completed, is Star Wars fans, if there is a longer strike, I think we would feel it a little ways down the line.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's true of everything writing wise, but not the same as like, I mean, the last time there was a major strike, we were still well before the streaming period, and there was a real cycle to everything. And like every show had like a shortened season, like the following year. And now the way things are spread out everywhere, that's probably another nasty part of this is that companies can hoard stuff so they feel like they can make it longer without the writers.
Yeah, and Andrew McNabb says really interesting Twitter thread today about how previous writer strike affected Quantum of Solace. Yeah, that mid 2000s strike. That if I was part of a creative project that absolutely got squished and killed because of the strike, but it's needed because the industry's changed so rapidly, and writers are such on the low end of the totem pole. And you kind of touched upon some of the stuff that happens if you see a show. And by the way, I'm not saying anyone involved with these shows, the producers, the creators, are to blame. But when you see a show that's like, hey, season 4 is going to be 2 volumes, that's a sneaky way to get 2 seasons out of the writers for the price of 1. And that kind of stuff happens a lot, and you're seeing that a lot on streaming and the residuals and it's important stuff. It's not I don't want anyone to have a negative view on writers going on strike. It's important stuff for the future of this rapidly changing business. You're already seeing now actors are going to have to start. I mean, the fact that CBS, I just saw, is changing the designation of their casts, dropping them to like guest stars and recurring roles instead of regular, cast roles, which severely affects their amount of money. And, and the podcast industry is changing. We're seeing that. We're experiencing that. But I don't know. It's kind of a Star Wars thing. I think of that Bad Batch episode. The two Bad Batch episodes of the crime boss hoarding over the kids that they have to get Gonki from. Remember that mid-season arc?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that going on, where these networks are probably doing better than they're telling the writers. So it's an interesting time, but it will affect things. But I think to your point, Joseph, it will affect it in a little bit because we'll probably already see the shows that we got that are in the hopper right now.
Yeah, and if there is a strike and it is long, it could be disastrous for the 2025 film.
Completely.
Yeah. I like the movie Quantum of Solace a lot, but yeah, and I think Daniel Craig had been given interviews about it, back in the day, about having to rework some of the scenes or write some of the scenes himself with the director. And a writer I am not, I believe, is Daniel Craig's quote.
Right.
Yeah, so I really hope that the writers, I have many friends in the union. I am not in the union. The writing I've done is in animation, which is also
That's the problem.
Needs a lot more. And this is really, really needed. This is really needed when things are getting harder and harder. And you're hearing stories about like writers like you created this amazingly successful show, and you don't have healthcare, and people are running around assuming that they're rolling around in cash. And
the animation one, the difference between what's considered daytime animation and primetime animation is union, the other and others aren't. And it's really no dividing line anymore because of streaming, and it's maddening. So and you're living that one. You live that one. So, and there's some other people that have too.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's see how many more questions we can grab here, Ken.
We do have an important update from Eddie Gunner. Bad Obsession is a great Guns N' Roses B-side. There you go.
That's true. And I really actually do like that song. A lot of cowbell, aggressive cowbell in Bad Obsession.
All right. Yeah, hit me. What do you got?
Matthew Stokes, kind super chat, has some strong opinions about B-sides as well. Round Our Way B-side to Wonderwall from the soundtrack to a Life Less Ordinary featuring Ewan McGregor. Absolute banger.
There you go. Round our way, the sun is shining. Let's do it. All right.
Got a Bad Obsession. Yes. We'll not turn this into Sing Center. I don't think.
You don't want that from me.
No. All right. Coming back to the beginning here with Blake Davison. Thank you very much. Saying, hey, Joseph and Ken, I hope you are well. If you guys are planning on playing Survivor, what things are you hoping are included in the game? Character cameos, planets, etc. Ooh. Hopefully I'll play the game eventually. I will probably know all of these things within minutes, what is and isn't in the game.
Right.
I'm sure people know already whether or not this is or is not in the game. So I'm speaking totally without knowledge and admitting it. Please be kind, internet. I would love to see Naboo. I want to see more of Naboo in this era and in what's going on there. The weird tightrope walk from being both the kind of planet that would really resist the Emperor and also needing to be celebrated by the Empire as the home planet of Palpatine. They do some great stuff with that in Lego video games, but I would love to see that in canon. So I think that's the sort of the planet location that pops to mind for me.
Yeah, it's not right to. I feel weird answering it. You're right, because someone already has all of the cutscenes loaded up on YouTube.
Yep.
How? Why? God bless you. So I'm just as I'm gonna play it, Blake. I was streaming it on my own YouTube channel starting Sunday. Haven't touched the game yet. Downloaded it. We had Saw Gerrera last time out, so it's a few years later. We need to do the flip side. When is Infus Nest going to show up in storytelling? Live action, book, comic, video game. I want Infus Nest to show up. And if she's not in this game, Jedi, Star Wars Jedi, we're still going. Whatever the third one's going to be. I want her to show up as well. As far as planets, with you, Naboo's always a great location for so many wonderful reasons. But let's go to Endor. It's Brian Ward's dream of Wicket showing up somewhere. Let's do that as well.
Yeah, you know what? I'll throw in a character, Hondo. Always on Hondo watch. Things did not go great for him in this era, clearly, because he is whimsical, shifty uncle by the time we get to Rebels. So, like snakes on a plane, let's say Hondo on Naboo. That's what I want to see.
Hondo on Naboo sounds wonderful there. All right, we got one here. Going back to our new pal here, Camo Prods. Says, what are your hopes and expectations for James Mangold's Star Wars film, Dawn of the Jedi? This biblical epic. There's a lot of the Bible turns out pretty big, Joseph. You could go a lot of places with your biblical epic. I have some thoughts. Where do you go though first?
I think I am the most interested in seeing what kind of state the galaxy is in. I think Mangold has talked about this a little bit of it. It is kind of a time of crisis in the galaxy, needs something to pull it together. I think I'm really interested in that. I'm interested to see, well, who would resist the idea of Jedi and the idea of, hey, we have this power. It should be used for good. It can be hard to define what is used for good when some people think you just shouldn't get involved at all, and then other people are going, yep, but somebody is being hurt and it's not okay, and I have the power to step in. Like, I feel like the movie is going to have to kind of deal with some of those key core issues of deciding to step in. And beyond that, I want to see somebody lay the tile work of the Prime Jedi on Octo.
Oh yeah, to actually see that. Oh, that'd be beautiful. Just someone's doesn't even have to be a plot point in the movie. Just you cut back to someone
in the background.
Making it. It would probably be a caretaker, right? Maybe in my mind.
I maybe
they're scooping it. I don't know. Mine in terms of biblical epic stuff like Moses and the Ten Commandments stuff. That kind of works for me on some level. Just the idea of this thing we've discovered, this power. I will call it the Force, and then what do we do with it? That's just a great place to start, and going into some like a good old fashioned Cain versus Abel, brother killing brother early on in the game type of thing of just this power, this thing, this force, this energy showing up, and then you have choices of what to do with it. Kind of what you're saying, tying to the state of the galaxy, but just in terms of my Bible characters from my youth, putting those little felt Bible figures up on the board to learn my verses. I remember my Sunday school. Let's do that. Let's have some Cain versus Abel battle.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think the Dawn of the Jedi, there'll definitely be some people like saying, hey, what if we use the power this way? So extremely excited for that. We got a super chat here from Corey Hendrickson, and then the actual follow-up question here. Do you think Ahsoka will have a chat with Anakin in her series? I asked before because the Clone Wars set up their relationship. Rebels added to it, and Boba Fett asked a question. We've definitely chatted about this on the podcast. I really think so. I know there have been a lot of rumors out there that Hayden Christensen is already in the cast. He hasn't been officially announced, but he talked about it so much. I think a lot of people feel like it's official. I don't know exactly how the show is going to dance around within Ahsoka's timeline, but I do feel like her appearance in The Mandalorian in season 2, the Jedi episode, she's hurting. And she even brings up the specter of Anakin. If I've seen what the fear of loss of a loved one can do to even a great Jedi, that she doesn't know that Anakin made a better choice. I think the idea of her being able to commune with Anakin and Anakin having to it's one thing for Anakin to connect with the son he never knew, but for Anakin to sort of even as a Force spirit to have to look into the eyes of somebody he knew, somebody he disappointed. I think that's really powerful for Ahsoka, and it could be really powerful for well, I guess Anakin's version of the Obi-Wan Kenobi log sit, Return of the Jedi, of
I,
explain. He might need to sit down. Anakin might need to sit down when he talks to Ahsoka. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I'm there for that, and I if you forget that it's just a rumor that he was cast, that Rosario seemed to confirm accidentally, which she seems to do a lot. She has a lot of passion and energy for her projects here in Star Wars, which I love. So I'm looking. I got to be careful because I'm to the point where I'm just assuming this is happening. I'm assuming the show is jumping all around timelines. It's just based on hairstyles and looks and robes and everything. But again, that's an assumption on my part. I'm looking forward to the potential of them having some sort of conversation, and I'm okay with it. I love the Force log sit moment idea. That's one I think I've been behind for a while. Powerful for all the reasons you've said there, but also, having just rewatched Kenobi, the flashback sequence, spending time with them, it worked for me. The de-aging, I'd say 80 to 90% successful for me, but I don't care after a while. Like, yeah, Anakin got a little more lines in his face. I don't care. It was such a powerful use of it, and use of it for the story's sake, that if you were to go back and give me a moment with them during the Clone Wars era or somewhere around that time, I think it'd be just as powerful. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it maybe happening.
Yeah. I'm also my personal take is that the Force spirits show up when there is a time of great need for the person that they're connecting to. So I'm also just very interested if Ahsoka is wandering from the path a little bit as she is searching for Thrawn. That would be really powerful. If Anakin's visit is short and cryptic, but the clear spirit is you are better than me. Snips, not better than me. You're better than this. I don't need him to call her Snips, but that would be amazing.
Oh,
but don't make the mistakes I did, kid. It would be a pretty great short visit too.
Love that. All right, we got this one from Humble Ash. Any thoughts on a Warring States version of the Galaxy Post, The Rise of Skywalker? The idea of multiple First Order New Republic remnants clashing with splitting a rival faction seems like an awesome premise. Yeah, it's great. This is something we're gonna have to know. We're gonna have to know this. This is not just a dream. We're gonna get a movie set after this, and we'll learn this kind of stuff here. I like this idea. It makes sense. Remnants can sound familiar to what's going on right now. I understand that, but that's also very realistic. But I like the idea of the threat maybe coming more within the New Republic at this point. That could be exciting as well. But I think there's a lot. The focus is going to be a little bit more on maybe the Jedi going forward and who does or does not want that to happen. But without a doubt, you got some State of the Galaxy stuff to wonder about, Joseph. And I like this idea.
Yeah, no, I like the idea of First Order remnants. I also just like the idea that the Galactic Civil War was the alliance to restore the Republic. It was let's put it back, and that government wasn't the New Republic wasn't morally, maybe it slowly corroded, but in terms of its existence, it was blown away in a second.
Yeah,
gone. No central government. First Order having military control. No single government is going to immediately be able to take over. So I'd be fascinated if, like 15 years later, there's some trade agreements from major sectors, and maybe there's kind of a almost a United Nations, like we've got some rough agreements of what we do and we don't do. But there's not really a central government for the galaxy right now, as people still vie for it, which would be really interesting because I think Jedi would be even more needed because it would be about this war is going on and the refugees need help and this First Order remnant is tyrannizing this planet. We need to go over here. I think there'd be a lot of really interesting things to explore if that's in the new Jedi Order movie, or if that is storytelling at some point that happens in an animated series or books or whatever. I would really love that. Super fractured,
I like that idea.
Does a bounty hunters guild take over?
Droid Gatra takes over.
The Droid Gatra takes over a big section of like the mid rim, and like, what are you gonna do? Like,
what are you gonna do it? Love it. Great stuff. We're gonna try to get through all of these here a little quicker pace, but so many wonderful questions, so many super chats. Joseph, while you're picking one here, I'll highlight this one. Just a great, generous donation from Jonathan. So no question. Just thank you for everything and having such a great time in London. And please, someone buy Ken a decent bottle of rum on the company card. Yeah, I've been talking about this on my other shows too. As I have to leave whiskey behind more and more, I've been looking for higher class rums. So we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there, Jonathan. Thank you, and great profile pick there too.
Yeah, absolutely. Gaz Nottingham has this quick follow-up. I like the idea that the Senate can be restored on Coruscant. Hosnian Prime is gone, but the foundation of the Republic is on Coruscant. I'd really like that too, of kind of going back to Coruscant and seeing what it's like way in that far future.
I like that idea. Love that.
Okay, we got this super chat from 8984M. With a new crawl confirmed for the new Jedi Order movie, what first line would you put along the lines of The Force Awakens? Joke or serious? All answers are game.
Yeah. It starts like this: Rey is still a Skywalker. Sorry, losers.
Yeah, I want it to start with Jedi Master, Rey Skywalker. Has valiantly defended the galaxy, but the time has come for more Jedi. That's my pitch for the first two sentences. But I do want it to start with like fist pumping. Jedi Master Rey Skywalker has been doing her best.
That's you just pitched a great line there and cut to everyone in a car filming. Yeah, be great.
I'm telling you, the angry car video people, they're gonna be so overwhelmed. There's so much great stuff coming up that they would have knee-jerk reactions about.
Great PLDs to somehow Tika's returned. Andrew McNabb says Claude is missing. There we go. Love that.
That is great.
Great stuff there. Jared says Penny for Infant's Nest and any future Star Wars projects. Please live action per, but I'll take anything I can get. Yeah. Same. Lawrence had this question. Lawrence Fletcher says, what was your most surreal experience at Star Wars Celebration? I'm assuming Lawrence is saying Star Wars Celebration London. If anything else pops to mind from another celebration, I guess you can answer that way as well too. I'm trying to think and not make a joke about food, but that was pretty surreal. For me, despite all the rumors and despite the scoops and despite me understanding that, they probably came, from correct sources, all that stuff, to actually hear and see and feel the energy of Daisy Ridley coming back on stage as Rey was both exciting, thrilling, inspirational, touching, and surreal. It was like, oh, wow, we're only a few years out, but I didn't think this was happening. And so that was surreal for me.
Yeah, for me, that was like my favorite moment. Other things I loved, the Hu Yang confirmation, the trailer pack light, but Daisy Ridley and the theater with which, I mean that in a good way, that Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, said, "Do you want to meet the Jedi Master?" It was so beautiful to be a part of. I think that my most actual surreal experience, there was one of the nights, it might have been the last night, Ken, where we had dinner and everybody else was heading to the bar that people were hanging out at, but I had to bop back to our hotel to drop something off. And the convention proper had ended. It was the last night, but there were still people just kind of milling around London dressed as Jedi.
Right. Yes.
And it was quiet and it was dark. And I just heard next to the big dock, that big body of water, I just heard two lightsabers light up. And there was like somebody giving like an instruction class. It was like taking them through their forms. Like you often see people just like bashing lightsabers or joking, but this was like somebody actually taking people through their Jedi forms. And it was one of those Star Wars. I know Star Wars isn't real, but it's dark. There are lightsabers glowing on the water. There are people doing forms. Maybe it's real. Maybe it is real.
Maybe it's real. I love that. That's beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. And that hotel bar was popping. So it was great. Surreal as well.
Absolutely great. Yeah. All right.
In a few, we can rip through these. We can do it, friends.
Yeah. What else? Do you have another one, Ken?
Yeah. We got this is a green light, yes or no from PLD. Pitch in a Hondo series during the New Republic. Hondo, DJ, Talon Card, and Maz Kanata form a new pirate underworld gang. And while I'm dreaming, I'm casting Ed Harris as Talon Card. Green light. I'm giving you the big green light. You got Go Picture Kid. That's a big yes for me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Ed Harris, absolutely great. Love it. And yes, please, more Hondo. More Hondo.
Solid.
All right. Scrolling through here for what we got. Oh, this is way back here from Jared. What starships that have yet to see live action do you want to see? For me, it's a TIE Phantom in Super Star Destroyer Eclipse. Ooh.
Well, I'll say yes to Super Star Destroyer Eclipse because then the chances of Ray Sloan being in live action finally. I'll back Jared on that one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I am trying to remember the name of the Jedi ships in the High Republic because it's been a little too long since I have read it. But I would love to see those ships.
Yeah, the long ones, the Jedi Starfighter, all of them.
Yeah, the individual Jedi ships in the High Republic. The Vectors. There we go. The Jedi Vectors. Yes, I would love to see those in live action.
There you go. We got this one. Speaking of that High Republic stuff, Mark Canope says, we know that about Vernestra Rowe being in The Acolyte, Rebecca Henderson playing her. Do you think we'll get more High Republic characters in Acolyte? Can you imagine a live action Nubs? I can now. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, Yoda. Younger High Republic Yoda. Give me that.
Oh, yeah. Why not? I would be totally down with that. And just somebody in a giant theme park suit playing Nubs. Like, I don't even need it to look realistic.
Yeah.
Like a baseball mascot version of Nubs.
I'm excited for Vernestra to show up and act like that's
yeah. What do you think, Ken? Like one or two more and wrap up?
Yeah, I think we can get through these. I think we can get through these 5 here in our starred section. We can do it. And then get out of it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Here I got an easy one. Jared says, do you think Disney will ever release a non-special editions of the OG trilogy? No.
I think only the contracts know. I think that there's probably an answer of whether or not that is stipulated in the purchase contract between Lucas and Disney. I think if they legally can, I think at some point they would. Yeah,
because it would be profitable. This has become profitable. There you go. All right, cool. Ripping through it here, Joseph. Oscar Film Forecast. What do you think happened to Mieber Gascon? I hope you had a happy ending.
I think he was a part of the rebellion. I think he's a huge part of the rebellion.
He was on Endor. He was.
What if he? I wish that a shot could be inserted in Rogue One where he valiantly died on Scarif. Or
he's hopping behind Radis.
Or you know what? Andor season 2. Let's have him show up in Andor season 2.
I want to be there for the. First of all, I love having Radis and Gascon in the same shot, and Steven Stanton's just doing the voice on both. Like, I love that they're like sit Tony Gilroy down. They're like, we've got a character for you in season 2. It's one of George's favorite characters. He's like, yeah, hit me. They're like, it's Mieber Gascon, and Gilroy gets up and just walks away. It never comes back.
It would be beautiful. All right, so next one up is we try to get through these last few. Andrew McNabb says, went to see Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary screening. It was magical, thrilling, triumphant, and very emotional. I am over left wondering why Leia left Han to just fall onto the floor when she unfreezes him.
Well, look, Han's a bulky dude, you know, Leia's strong, but you don't know. There's a lot of water waiting in there.
Yeah. Yep. I take it is Leia is simply just did not realize he was going to fall out that fast. That she thought there was just a little bit more crinkling left to go before he was released. I think it's I think Han coming out there is like when you're trying to get an ice cube out of the tray and you think it's more stuck than it is, and it just
Yeah.
comes flying out into your glass. I think that's what Han did.
Love that. Love that. Malcolm says, what Star Wars planet do you think would be best to do stand-up set on? Conversely, what about the worst planets to do one? I'd also be interested in some real-life stand-up horror stories. That'll be other center, just more horror stories. But the worst, I'll say the worst would be Tatooine. I think Mos Eisley, Cantina, or anything in on Tatooine in that kind of environment, because I've had those experiences. There's a venue I used to do in Palmdale. I did one time. Palmdale, California, about 45 minutes north of where we are, and it was at a bar that looked like it would fit on Tatooine. The outside, it had that vibe of like being there in Chalmers, near Chalmers, and they shut it down a week later because there was a second double homicide there. So that was not the best place to do comedy in. Remind me of that one.
Yeah. The absolute worst place to do stand-up comedy is when other people there, the audience, doesn't know there's going to be stand-up and they didn't get to choose to be part of the audience, which does happen at like bars where people have booked something in the side room and the regulars like, we're here to talk. We don't need or want this. And in fact, we resent it. That will be my horror story. One of those type of situation. So yeah, I think Mos Eisley is the like some grifter would convince every wannabe comedian in Mos Eisley, like, we got a great show for you. And Danik Jericho would turn around and try to eat your brain, drink your brain.
Yep, I did my pal Johnny LaQuasto used to book a room down in Huntington Beach. It was when I retired from comedy in like 2009. The first time I went down, did a show, drove 2 hours in traffic, got paid $10 cash. The show was about to begin. They turned off the Laker game across the entire bar, and everyone was like, "What the hell?" And the bartender was like, "Hey, we got to start the comedy show." And like everyone turned around to us. Like, no, I want to get out of here. I was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore.
I have been to the place where I just want to say, like, I know none of you want this, so that's my set. Bye.
Anyways, but best place to do it, the Outlander Club could be where they turn off the pod race game and make you watch the comic. That could be
the Nuna Ball. Yeah,
but Coruscant would be my favorite place because it's big, kind of urban center, a lot of cultures, a lot of perspectives, a lot of different ways to make people laugh.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of like, you could do comedy at like every level and encounter different audiences and be great. You know what? A little justice for Tatooine. If Garza Fwip's Sanctuary had been allowed to thrive, she's got reason to want to pack people in there, just like the casinos of old in Vegas. Maybe she already had it and we didn't see it, but I think she would have expanded and she would have added a showroom. And then like, hey, you know what? It is just this. It is 5 New Republic credits to see the biggest entertainer in the galaxy, Lulilo Primarch, is going to do a show for super cheap. And then when you're done, the gambling tables are waiting. I would love to do a show there.
She gets to, at the end of the show, turn around and go, hit it, Max. And we're back in.
Yep.
Yeah, that's 100% the right answer because she would respect the art and her audience would as well. Great stuff there. Love that. A couple more here. Sabersmith asks, along these lines, what is something you would add to Galaxy's Edge that's not there? I'm still on board for the keep it in a timeline thing. Whether you shift that timeline and go to Batuu in another era, maybe. But I have no problem with it. But that said, if you could incorporate pod racing, that'd be a dream to just really experience pod racing in a 3D level.
This sounds like a joke. Maybe it is, but I also mean it. A second cantina, because it is a pretty small space and it is one of the fun places to lounge. They have a restaurant, but the docking bay is not that romantic. It would be great to have another ride, but also just another space to just soak up the atmosphere. Even if they're like, we're not going to do drinks, if it's just zero proof. No hard alcohol. It would still be great to have another space to lounge.
Are you telling me the docking bay is not a romantic restaurant? You're telling me.
Very, very accurate to Star Wars in that way. Yeah.
Final one of the day. Attic and Cressman says, did ForceCenter ever do a deep dive for the story of Fallen Order? Thought I'd have to save some time from scrolling through the years. I don't recall, Joseph.
Well, thankfully, I believe Jay from Nowhere found it. Review was released December 13th, 2019, which sounds about right for our timing. So yes, we did. And man, I really hope I can get to it sooner rather than later so we can discuss it. And if nothing else, I'll watch the cutscenes and we'll discuss it eventually.
You could watch it right now and know more about me than that game there. There you go. There you go. Well, we've done it. We've done it. We got, you guys are the best. This was just a great live stream.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone.
That's it. We're out of here. I got to go do a stand-up show right now, so I got to go get ready for that. And we'll do this again. Don't forget to check out, if you want, the Figure Fights episode that's up now with Alex and Molly Damon. A lot of fun. Padme, dinner scene, Padme versus Danik Jericho. It's a titanic epic matchup there. And you know where to find us there. Any final messages from you, sir, as we say goodbye?
Yeah, if you don't mind just throwing up that survey graphic one more time, if you have it at your fingertips. I think probably a ton of people who are here on the live stream have already filled it out. But if you haven't, or if you know other Force Center listeners and fans, the more answers we get, the best picture that we can get of where we're going in the future. A little knowledge will light our way. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much indeed. We'll see you next time. We'll do it again. We'll do it again. Back to one places, everybody. We shall see you very soon. Thanks for watching ForceCenter. To follow us on Twitter, reach out at ForceCenterPod. We're on Hive Social at ForceCenter. On Instagram, we are at ForceCenterPod. Our Facebook page is ForceCenter Podcast. The podcast is available in a lot of different spots like Acast, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. Just search, you'll find us. Want ForceCenter merch? Go to tpublic.com/user/ForceCenter. Want to support us directly? You can at patreon.com/ForceCenter. For social links for the hosts and guests of ForceCenter, check the links in the description below. That's it for now. We'll see you next time here on ForceCenter.